Chapter 11:27. Muli felt that the girl in front of him was a little crazy. It took him a while to find his voice. You came here from the hospital just to ask me about this? Shisheng raised his head and looked at Muli. Do you like me? No, she didn't like him? But why did she have such a reaction? Muli avoided Shisheng's gaze. I'll take you home. Shisheng curled her lips. I knew it. This idiot rarely acts when he's not being awkward. Shisheng changed his position and sank into the sofa. What feud do you have with Hu Hai? Muli suddenly raised his head. Shisheng's eyes flashed coldly under the refraction of his lenses. Shisheng waited for a long time, but Muli didn't reply. She didn't have much hope. I just wanted to let you know that I might be dealing with them. Who do you want me to keep for you? Muli frowned. How much do you know? Not much, about 70 to 80%. Muli sat down beside Shisheng. They're not that easy to deal with, Shisheng snorted. You have to dare to challenge new heights. Muli glanced sideways at her. The girl's side profile was gentle and soft, like a piece of polished jade wrapped in soft light. Her lips were seductively red, as if she was waiting for a taste. You want to kiss me? Muli was awakened by Shisheng's shameless voice. He immediately looked away. And it's not as simple as you think. A lot of people are involved in this matter. I don't know where you got the news from, but you're not allowed to interfere in this matter. Muli, I want to kiss you. Muli was speechless. Was she even listening to him? Shisheng stared at him for a few seconds before suddenly pouncing on him. Sleep with him first. If he didn't want to sleep with his wife, he was either having an affair or crazy. Muli didn't expect Shisheng to pounce on him. He instinctively dodged, but the fruit knife on the table slid across the back of his hand. Muli's face turned pale when he saw the blood on the back of his hand. He felt dizzy. He swayed and fell back onto the sofa. Shisheng half knelt on the sofa and looked at him in confusion. What are you doing? I haven't even started. Why is it that you're already dying? Muli fixed his gaze on Shisheng. The blood in his eyes seemed to fade away. Shisheng's gaze fell on his hand, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Faint at the sight of blood. No wonder he suddenly fainted last time even though he wasn't seriously injured. Was it really okay for a doctor to faint from blood? The patient fainted before he was cured. How did such a person become a doctor? Shisheng rushed forward and pinched him. Muli was in great pain, but the dizziness subsided a little. I can't believe you're scared of blood. Shisheng squatted beside him. It was hard to tell whether he was gloating or something else. Muli turned his head away and propped himself up to grab a tissue from the table. He rubbed the back of his hand and wiped it. Shisheng sighed. Where's the medical kit? Muli paused and said slowly. In the bedroom on the second row of the bedside table. Shisheng jumped off the sofa and walked into the bedroom barefoot. She quickly came out with the medical kit, squatted on the floor, and rummaged through the medical kit. Her actions were very rough and lacked the gentleness of a girl. Shisheng cleaned up the bloodstains, disinfected the wound, stopped the bleeding, and bandaged it. Thank you. Shisheng threw the medical kit into the medical kit and crossed his arms on Muli's lap. He leaned forward slightly. Kiss me as a thank you gift. Men and women should not touch each other. Muli's expression did not change. Didn't I kiss you before? And stop fooling around. Muli scolded her in a low voice. Shisheng stood up from the floor and returned to the sofa. Where's your phone? Muli was confused by her sudden change. He frowned slightly. What are you doing? Playing games. There's nothing in that lousy hospital. I feel like killing someone. Shisheng glared at him. What? You won't let me kiss you, but you won't let me play games? Are you trying to kill me? Muli was speechless. Was it as serious as she made it out to be? He moved to the side, took out his phone and handed it to her. Shisheng ignored Muli as soon as he received his phone. Muli sat for a while, then got up and went to the bedroom to get changed. After changing, he stood in front of Shisheng. I'll take you home. Shisheng's fingers quickly tapped on the screen. No, those idiots must be in the hospital. I don't want to see them. If you don't want to see them, why did you provoke them? Who provoked them? Shisheng was furious. They came to me. I was just standing there. I didn't do anything. Muli pushed his glasses up. You didn't do anything. Why did they come to you? Shishang's fingers paused. He looked up with exaggerated surprise. Maybe they took a fancy to my good looks. Dr. Mu, aren't you going to protect me? Muli was speechless. They are not bandits. Why would they take a fancy to your good looks? Bzzzt, 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 bzzzt. Shishang's phone suddenly vibrated. A name popped up on the screen. Muli took the phone back. Hello. Yes. She's with me. It's fine. I'll bring her home tomorrow. Yes. Muli hung up and pointed to a room. There's a guest room over there. Shishang blinked. But I want you to sleep with me. Muli's face darkened. He turned around and walked to his room. After closing the door, he realized that he hadn't finished talking. He opened the door again. About who high? The girl who was sitting on the sofa was now standing on the windowsill. Muli was shocked. What are you doing? Shishang turned around. He paused and said confidently, if you don't let me sleep with you, I'll jump down from here. Muli walked over from the door nervously. Anchi, come down. Don't come over. I'll jump down if you do. Muli stopped immediately. Okay, I won't go over. Come down first. Are you going to let me sleep with you or not? No one is like you. Who would force someone like that? Strangely, he didn't feel disgusted. He just felt helpless. Shishang grabbed the window. Half of his body was leaning out. Then I'll jump down. She had planned to leave. Who knew that this idiot would appear again? Since he had already climbed up, he should at least give himself some benefits. Muli's heart was in his mouth. Anchi, calm down. Can you come down and talk? Shishang glared at him. It's just a matter of one sentence. Are you going to waste time? Are you going to lose or am I going to lose? From the looks of it, he was definitely going to lose. Muli suppressed this thought. Can you guarantee that you're sober right now? Nonsense. I'm sober than anyone else. Come down first. You agree? Muli asked. Will you come down if I don't agree? No. I know how to leave. Who has the time to waste with you? There's a bunch of little bitches waiting for me to teach them a lesson. Come down. Muli turned and walked into the bedroom. Shishang stood there for a while. Then he jumped down from the window and followed Muli into the room. Chapter 11:28. Muli brought Shishang back to the hospital. The team leader from yesterday was already waiting in his office. The team leader's sharp gaze swept across the two of them, and his tone was full of questions. Dr. Mu, how can your hospital take a patient out for a night? Muli put on his glasses and instantly became a beast dressed in human clothing. This is our hospital's business. It has nothing to do with this police officer, right? The team leader's face darkened. They had waited here for the whole night, but there was no news at all. The only person who knew something was not here. They wanted to go directly to the hospital and arrest him, but no one in the hospital knew where Muli lived. They only found an old address and there was no one at all. The situation is urgent. I don't want to talk nonsense with Dr. Mu. I need to take Anchi away. Anchi's health is not good. She can't leave the hospital. Muli's tone was neither light nor heavy, but it was irrefutable. The team leader's face darkened and became even colder and more serious. She is an eyewitness of a kidnapping case. We now suspect that she is related to this case. We need her to cooperate with the investigation. You suspect her just because you say so? Where's the evidence? No one other than Shishang could speak so harshly. She had not said anything when she came in just now. The team leader had also turned his attention to Muli. Shishang's sudden words attracted the team leader and Muli's attention. You showed up at the crime scene alone. Isn't that evidence? Shishang rolled her eyes. I was just passing by. Did you buy that road? You didn't allow me to pass by? The team leader and Shishang were at loggerheads. Why would you pass by at that time? Sleepwalking. Didn't I tell you before? I didn't see you for one night. Officer, have your brains been eaten by zombies? The team leader was speechless. How could there be such an arrogant woman? Could he arrest her and educate her? We have already checked your medical records last night. You don't have sleepwalking. According to the situation at that time, you were very awake and not sleepwalking. Miss Chi, what else do you have to say? The team leader spoke quickly. This was all due to his experience dealing with suspects. Sleepwalking? How could she have happened to see Sula being kidnapped? Who would believe that? So what if I was awake? I saw it and even remembered the car plate number. I won't tell you. What can you do to me? Yu Shisheng's eyes curved into crescents. Don't be so agitated. It won't be good if you agitate me. I'm a patient. I don't need to take responsibility if I hit someone later. The captain suppressed his anger and softened his tone. And that's an innocent life. Are you going to watch something happen to her? Shisheng shrugged. I can't see anything. Will the female lead Darren die? He was someone who could survive on his last breath. They were as tenacious as the villains. The only difference between them and villains was that in the end, they would reach the pinnacle of their lives, while villains could only be corrupted until they died. Captain, this won't do. Men, take this lunatic back and lock her up. The captain was furious, but he didn't dare to mess around in the hospital. They had secretly contacted the hospital's own people and entered as the patient's family. Muli moved to the side and stood between Shisheng and the captain. Officer, can you leave now that you're done? The captain gritted his teeth. Dr. Mu, you might be protecting a criminal suspect. It's none of my business. She's my patient now, so I have to take responsibility for her. If you have evidence, you can come and talk about it. Take care. The captain took a deep breath and turned to leave. A fox would always show its tail. He didn't believe that. Muli watched the captain leave before he turned to look at Shisheng. Did you leave any useful evidence? Shisheng said innocently. I didn't do anything. Muli nodded and patted her head. Go back to the ward first. I'll talk to the director. Shisheng raised his little face. Muli looked at her for a few seconds before he lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Be careful. Shisheng wasn't satisfied. He pulled Muli and kissed him deeply before he left. Muli's face was red from the kiss. He stood in the office to cool off before he shook his head and left. Shisheng avoided the nurses and went up to the 8th floor to check on the group of B** cheese. As soon as he entered the room, he smelled the strong scent of blood. Shisheng's expression changed. It was over. She quickly rushed to the room where the men were kept. The men she had tied up were all dead. Their throats had been slit, and they had bled to death. Shisheng walked around the corpses twice, and his expression became more and more unpleasant. The corpses were placed in a circle with 3 men in the middle. They were all in a kneeling position, and all the blood was in the circle. It was a simplified emblem. A flower blooming in a cage was watered with blood. Mubai, that idiot. What's the point of competing with I? Flip the table. Go ahead and do it yourself. Calm down. She couldn't get angry over an idiot. He must have killed these people to frame her. Shisheng checked the scene, but couldn't find any evidence to frame her. She was a little confused. Was it just to tell her that he was here? No, there must be something wrong. Shisheng's gaze landed on the corpses. Her eyes widened, and she quickly retreated to the door. Boom! The entire 8th floor was razed to the ground with a loud bang. Strangely, the floors below the 7th floor were not damaged at all. Shisheng landed on the grass and looked up at the smoking roof. The corners of his mouth twitched. What a cunning man. He didn't even let the corpses go. Beep! Shisheng suddenly heard a beeping sound under her feet. Her body stiffened. Was this idiot done? Shisheng took a deep breath and jumped to the side. The iron sword appeared in the next moment and carried her in another direction. Bang! The place where she was standing just now exploded. It was like a fuse. With it as the center, the sound of the explosion spread far and wide. Shisheng raised the iron sword to avoid the explosion. That idiot is amazing. Shisheng was very impressed. Because he didn't know where she would run to. The result would be the same no matter which direction she ran to. Mubai must be nearby. Shisheng quickly looked around. If it was her, where would she hide? Mubai would definitely think according to her train of thought. So Shisheng fixed her eyes on a building. It looked a little old, and was hidden behind several tall buildings. If she wasn't in the air, she wouldn't have been able to see it. Shisheng flew over and landed on the roof of the building. The roof seemed to be in disrepair. There was moss and abandoned equipment everywhere. It was piled up haphazardly and looked like it had been there for a long time. This was the laboratory building that Dr. Zhang had mentioned. Shisheng tilted her head and smiled evilly. Today, let me save the world. Let's observe a moment of silence for the people below. Chapter 1129. At the bottom of the laboratory building, a pale and thin man was putting on his coat. There was a computer screen in front of him, showing the scene of the explosion. Mu Bai buttoned his shirt one by one and took a deep breath. Run. He would die if he didn't run. Mu Bai didn't even turn off his computer, and ran straight out. He could vaguely hear screams from behind, echoing throughout the entire laboratory building. Mu Bai felt a chill down his spine and ran out even faster. He didn't want to face it head-on. It was too scary. As a gentleman, he had to be elegant and couldn't be embarrassed, so he ran quickly. Mu Bai had been here for a long time, and had already familiarized himself with the hospital. When Shisheng cleared the monsters from the top floor to the bottom floor, Mu Bai was long gone. Shisheng only saw the provocative message he left in the room. The explosion outside had caused the entire hospital to be in chaos. It was easy for Mu Bai to run away. Shisheng chased after him and ran into Muli. He glanced at the laboratory building behind them and his face darkened. He pulled her to a secluded area. Muli threw her against the wall and put his hands on the wall, trapping her. What are you doing here? Fighting monsters, no saving people. Nonsense, follow me. Muli grabbed her and walked in another direction. His palms were sweaty and trembling slightly. When he heard the explosion in the inpatient department, he felt as if someone had sucked him dry. Fear almost drowned him. Shisheng didn't say anything, and let Muli take her to his office. On the way, they met many panicking patients and medical staff. Muli pushed Shisheng into the office. Stay here and don't go anywhere. Okay. The hospital was soon filled with firefighters, paramedics, and medical staff after the explosion. No one knew the cause of the explosion, so they could only make sure that the patients were fine. The director rushed over and almost fainted when he saw the tragic scene. Is anyone hurt? Check the patients. The person in charge of checking quickly came over. Director, a few patients were shocked and suffered minor injuries. It's nothing serious, but Enchi on the 6th floor and Su Lu on the 2nd floor are missing. Enchi is in my office. Muli walked out from the crowd. She's fine. The nurse blushed and glanced at Muli. Then only Su Lu can't be found. Where did he go? The dean roared. Why aren't you looking for him? The nurse shuddered. Yes, sir. After the nurse left, the director yelled at the person next to him. Calm the patients down first. Pay attention to their emotions. Now only one person was missing. Maybe he just ran somewhere to hide during the chaos just now. As long as no one died, it was fine. If someone really died, these people's family members would make a fuss, and the hospital would suffer a big loss. The nurse trotted away. The director frowned at Muli. Xiaomu, what's going on between you and Enchi? Muli's gaze landed on the pitch-black 8th floor. The metal railings had long been blown away, and nothing could be seen. Dean, I will take care of it. It's good that you know your limits. The hospital director took a deep look at Muli, and was about to go to the fire department to ask about the situation when a doctor suddenly shouted, and ran over from afar. He was followed by a group of reporters. Dean, it's bad. We don't know where these reporters got the news. We can't stop them. The doctor ran in, panting. Almost at the same time, the reporters who had chased over also arrived and surrounded the hospital director and Muli. All kinds of sharp questions came one after another. Are you the person in charge of the hospital? Why did the hospital explode? Is the patient injured? Is the explosion in the hospital caused by the patient's illness? Or is someone deliberately seeking revenge? Your hospital has always been known as the safest hospital. Why did such a large-scale explosion happen? Excuse me. The hospital director couldn't open his eyes because of the blinding flashes. Almost all the big media outlets were here. Why did these people come so quickly? I'm sorry, the cause of the accident is still under investigation. It's not convenient to disclose. Your presence here will hinder the patient's transfer. If anything happens, the hospital will hold you responsible. The hospital director first gave them a warning, then softened his tone. Friends from the media, if you want to understand the situation, please wait with our staff in the living room. I will give you 15 minutes to ask questions later. If these people were not dealt with properly, who knew what they would write? This hospital was different from other hospitals. The patients here were all lunatics. When a normal person went crazy, it was very scary, not to mention when a lunatic acted up. Therefore, after the hospital director made this suggestion, most of the people left according to the arrangement. There were too many people, and they didn't notice that a few reporters went to the abandoned hospital building when they weren't paying attention. Hospital director, we can't contact a few doctors. The hospital director had a headache. Why can't we contact them? I don't know. Their phones can't be reached. They didn't clock in this morning. Even Dr. Zhao, who was on duty yesterday, is not here. The explosion happened during working hours, so they didn't pay much attention. Now that they needed manpower, they realized that there were a few doctors who didn't come to work. The hospital director sent people to look for them, but they couldn't find them in the entire hospital. When he called their contact numbers, many people said that they were still there when they went to sleep last night. When they woke up, they didn't see them and thought that there was an emergency in the hospital. The hospital director immediately reported this news to Zhou Ning, who was at the scene. Zhou Ning asked someone to record it, and then sent people to investigate. Zhou Ning remembered that he hadn't seen Su Le for so long and quickly asked the hospital director, "Director, did you see Su Le?" "Su Le? She's missing. We haven't found her yet." "How could she be missing?" "Maybe she ran to hide somewhere during the chaos just now." Patients can't take too much agitation. "Officer Zhou, don't worry too much. I've already sent people to look for her." The hospital director definitely knew about the murder case that happened in the hospital, and had some impression of Su Le. Zhou Ning had a bad premonition and quickly asked someone to check the surveillance footage. During the chaos in the hospital, Shi Sheng was using the computer in Mu Li's office to check the hospital's surveillance footage. There were no surveillance cameras outside the laboratory building, but there were surveillance cameras in the building next to it. There were only a few exits in that building. Unless that idiot Mu Bai could escape into the sky, he could only come out from those few exits. At that time, not many people would come to the laboratory building, so it was easy to lock onto someone. Flip the table, easy my ass. Damn it, he was so wrapped up that only his eyes were visible. She didn't have X-ray vision, so how could she see? If you're so capable, show me your face. What kind of man are you to be wrapped up like a dumpling? Flips table. Asterisk hashtag today's vote for Magnolia flavor hashtag monthly vote for Cherub. Will you vote for me? Hashtag. Chapter 1130. Shi Sheng chased after Mu Bai for a few streets but still couldn't find him. He turned into a deserted alley and Shi Sheng couldn't find him again. Mu Bai was the only retard who dared to go against him. Shi Sheng was a little excited. He rubbed his hands together and sneered. There was no retard that he couldn't kill. The explosion below the hospital didn't hurt anyone. It was quickly found that someone had planted explosives. However, the surveillance footage was deleted and couldn't be recovered. They had no idea who did it. The 8th floor was even stranger. They couldn't find the cause of the explosion. The police were at a loss. Suddenly, the media released a news article. Several major media outlets released it at the same time. The title was exactly the same, but the content and pictures were different. The title was, "Revealing the Dirty Dealings of Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. The Truth is Shocking and Chilling." The article described everything they saw in the laboratory building and the pictures they took. The eye-catching, bold, and red headline caused a whirlwind early in the morning. It became the latest hot topic. Anonymous netizen A. This is insane. How could he treat a patient like that? He even said that he would save the dying and heal the injured. Anonymous netizen B. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital is the largest psychiatric hospital in our city. It was advertised that all the resources are the best in the country, and everything is centered around the patients. I didn't expect it to be like this. It's disgusting. I feel sorry for the patients. Anonymous netizen C. The patients are the most pitiful. What did they do wrong? They were treated like goods. They have families too. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital must take responsibility for this. Anonymous netizen D. Go to hell. Doctors? Insulting the profession. Anonymous netizen. The comments were all scolding Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. Many people even signed a joint report. Yesterday, many media outlets released the news about the explosion at Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. Today, several major media outlets released the same news. The relevant departments couldn't sit back and do nothing when such a big thing happened. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital became the target of public criticism. Family members from all over the world gathered outside the hospital and demanded an explanation. Now, as long as the family members and some people spontaneously organized saw people in white coats and nurse uniforms, they would beat them up regardless of whether they had done anything wrong or not. The people in the hospital didn't dare to go out. Shisheng leaned his head against the glass and looked at the people below. After a while he tilted his head and looked at Muli. They scolded all of you. Aren't you angry? Shouldn't you have known this would happen when you did this? Muli looked at the item in his hand, and his expression did not change. Shisheng blinked, turned around and leaned against the window. How did you know I did it? Muli didn't answer. He just calmly asked. Wasn't it you? Shisheng nodded. It's me. Murder is against the law. If she could reduce the trouble of disposing of the corpse, she was more than happy to do so. Hu Hai and the people behind him have formed a chain of interests. If something happens to Hu Hai, they will be dragged down as well. So, Muli paused and looked at Shisheng. Do you think those people will just sit and wait for death? Shisheng rolled his eyes and walked to the opposite side of the table. He leaned over and lifted his chin. Are you angry? Muli was forced to look up. His lips moved. No. Their eyes met. Shisheng suddenly said, I don't like you wearing glasses. When Muli heard that she didn't like it, he instinctively took off his glasses. He stared at the glasses in his hand for a few seconds. Why was he so obedient to her? Shisheng leaned over and kissed him on the lips. There. Their lives are in your hands now. Muli lowered his gaze. There was a small USB flash drive on the table. It looked familiar. It belonged to his house. When did she take it? What's inside? Everything. In this world that had not entered the interstellar era, she was the ruler as long as there was internet. She might not be the best in the interstellar world, but no one could surpass her. Everyone was evenly matched. Muli glanced at her and made a call. Soon, a doctor came in and looked at Shisheng curiously. Brother Mu? Muli passed the USB flash drive to him. Use it wisely. What's this? Muli didn't answer because he didn't know either. The doctor didn't ask any more questions. He took an empty computer from the side and inserted the USB flash drive into it. There was a title for each file. It was clear at a glance. Brother Mu, where did you get this? The doctor clicked on a few files and suddenly stuttered. Muli saw that his reaction was a little exaggerated. He shifted his gaze to the computer. After looking at a few files, he retracted his gaze. Go back and tidy it up. Wait for my news. The doctor hurriedly took the USB flash drive and gave him a thumbs up. Brother Mu, you're awesome. Where did you find this person? Are you taking in disciples? Muli glanced at him. The doctor then realized that Muli wasn't wearing his glasses. His face fell for a moment, and he quickly lowered his head. Brother Mu, I'll leave first. Are you still angry? Shisheng leaned over as soon as the doctor left. Muli raised his hand and hugged her waist. Don't let anyone know that you have this ability. Do you understand? In today's society, if a person with the ability couldn't be used, they would be destroyed. Shisheng snorted arrogantly. It's not that easy to make me do things. Muli, you're underestimating me. I'm very capable. I know you're capable, but this has nothing to do with me worrying about you. Don't make me worry. Fine. You're so annoying. Muli shook his head helplessly. He pulled her into his arms and continued to look at the documents on the table. He didn't know why he wasn't surprised that she knew these things. He didn't want to know either. Shisheng looked at the documents in his hand. They were all professional terms. After a few glances, she lost interest and snuggled into his arms to sleep. When Muli woke her up, the sky was already dark outside. Let's go home. Shisheng rubbed his head. Are you taking me with you? Muli chuckled. Who else would I take if not you? Did they allow you to take me out? The hospital has been in a mess these few days. I've already told the director. Muli stood up with her in his arms. Perhaps because he had been sitting for a long time, his legs were numb. It took him a while to walk outside. There were still many people outside, and there were also police officers keeping watch. When these people went crazy, they were much scarier than the lunatics inside. When Muli's car was about to leave, it was stopped. Zhou Ning stood in front of the car window in his military uniform. Dr. Mu, I'm sorry. The patients in the hospital can't leave for the time being. Especially this woman. She couldn't leave. Sula hadn't been found yet. He suspected that this woman had done something. The director has given his permission. I'll bring her back tomorrow. Zhou Ning didn't buy it. Dr. Mu, this is the rule. Chapter 1131. F***CK, where's I's sword? Is this idiot done yet? Just kill the male lead. Muli held back Shisheng, who was about to hit him. He opened the car door and talked to Zhou Ning for a minute. Zhou Ning's face turned from green to black. Muli went back to the car and drove off. He saw Zhou Ning standing there from the rearview mirror. Shisheng asked Muli curiously, "What did you talk to him about?" "What he wants to know." "What he wants to know? What does the male lead want to know?" Shisheng gave up after 2 questions. She was only responsible for killing the male lead, not answering his questions. Back at Muli's house, Muli made a simple dinner. At night, the 2 of them lay on the same bed. Because of Muli's injury, they didn't do anything. They just covered themselves with the blanket and chatted. The next day, they went to the hospital and heard that Hu Hai had returned. Hu Hai immediately called for a press conference and used a doctor as a shield to clear his name. He had been in the industry for so many years. If he didn't prepare himself, he would be stupid. Hu Hai rarely let people have something on him. Most of the time, he didn't show up in person. There was no evidence to prove that he had anything to do with this. Should I kill him? Shisheng tilted his head and asked Muli. She could take care of this with 1 strike, but she couldn't finish it even after a long time. Muli patted Shisheng's head. If he dies at this time, people will be suspicious. What are you afraid of? If 1 comes, I'll kill 1. If 2 come, I'll kill 2. Don't kill people in the future. Muli held Shisheng's hand. You shouldn't let their blood stain your hands. They don't deserve it. Shisheng. Muli was a little too evil. Muli leaned over and kissed her forehead. Be good and listen to me. His lips slowly moved downwards. Every kiss was very gentle until he captured her lips. Suddenly he used more force like a violent storm. If it wasn't for someone knocking on the door, the 2 of them would have had a miscarriage in the office. Muli loosened his grip on the Shisheng. His expression was a little unnatural. Well, you stay here. I'll be back soon. The Shisheng was placed on the chair, and Muli got up to leave. After taking 2 steps, he turned back and kissed her red lips again. Don't run around. Shisheng did not respond and watched Muli leave. Since Muli didn't allow Shisheng to do it, Shisheng secretly prepared to kill the other party. When Muli left her alone in the office, she immediately slipped out. Hu Hai should be in his office right now. Shisheng asked the system to help him hack the surveillance cameras. He avoided people and sneaked all the way to Hu Hai's office. Hu Hai was the vice president. His office was very big, and there was a small cubicle inside. Shisheng entered the cubicle through the window. The door was ajar, and the sound of conversation drifted in. Are you sure? It's definitely him. I'm afraid he has something to do with this incident. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental that we were exposed when the hospital exploded? Pa. Someone slammed the table. Didn't I ask you to get rid of everyone? What did you do? Vice President, this? He was forced to jump into the sea. We couldn't find his body for a long time and thought he was dead. Who knew that he was so lucky to still be alive? The person who answered seemed to be very scared. You gave up looking for him when you didn't find his body. A bunch of useless people. Hu-hai was even angrier. Think of a way to get rid of him. I don't want to see him tomorrow. Vice President? At this time, there were people investigating everywhere outside. Killing him would not do them any good. Otherwise, why are you waiting for him to be exposed? Hu-hai shouted angrily. He realized that he was too loud, so he lowered his voice. He can't be alive. Otherwise, we'll be in danger. This, Hu-hai continued to advise that person. You don't have to do it yourself. Find someone to create an accident or something. Shisheng sat on the chair in the cubicle and listened to the two people outside discussing how to kill Muli. His eyes were cold. The voices outside gradually weakened. The person opened the door and left. Hu-hai made 2 more phone calls to arrange a meeting. After hanging up, he walked towards the cubicle. The door opened, and a slightly plump man appeared at the door. Seeing that there was someone in the cubicle, Hu-hai was shocked. His face was full of vigilance. Who are you? What are you doing here? Shisheng crossed his arms in front of him and rested his elbows on the chair's armrest. He looked exactly like a boss. Shisheng looked up at Hu-hai and smiled. I want to discuss the origin of life with you. What origin of life? How did you get in? Hu-hai's face darkened. How much did you hear just now? I heard everything that I should and shouldn't have. Shisheng tilted his head. You're so arrogant, Vice President Hu. How dare you touch I's people? Hu-hai's heart skipped a beat, but he relaxed when he saw that it was a girl. He closed the door. You asked for it. Vice President Hu, are you trying to silence me? Hu-hai's expression was ferocious. You heard what you shouldn't have. You can't blame anyone else. Hu-hai thought that the girl in front of him would at least reveal a look of panic, if not fear. However, her expression didn't change much from the beginning to the end. She just smiled faintly and looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Hu-hai started to panic. Where did this girl come from? Shisheng calmly took out a talisman and stuck it on the table beside him. Vice President Hu is right. You can't blame anyone else for wanting to touch someone you shouldn't have. Hu-hai's eyes widened. You work for Muli? Correction, Muli works for me. Shisheng stood up from the chair and looked at Hu-hai from the corner of his eyes. She was 1.6 meters tall, which was slightly different from Hu-hai's height. However, Hu-hai felt a sense of oppression from her height. It had nothing to do with her height. It was her aura. How could such a young girl have such an aura? While Hu-hai was still in a daze, Shisheng went up and tied him up. Perhaps for his own safety, Hu-hai had learned a few moves, but if he wanted to deal with Shisheng with his mediocre skills, it was a fool's dream. What are you doing? Let me go. Where's Muli? Get Muli to come out and see me. Hu-hai was tied up and thrown to the ground. His face was swollen and looked very comical. Do you think you can see my Muli whenever you want? Do you think you're a asterisk asterisk? Shisheng snorted. Let me ask you. What did you do to Muli? Why did you force him to jump into the sea? Hu-hai didn't want to answer, but he couldn't bear Shisheng's methods. People like him were actually very afraid of death. They could do whatever they wanted. I'll talk. Hu-hai surrendered. When his sister was hospitalized, a guest took a fancy to her. Since they were both orphans, I didn't think much of it. Chapter 1132. 7 years ago, Muli's sister was sent to this hospital. How rich could an orphan be? Back then, Muli was only 17 years old. In order to treat his sister's illness, he had to work many jobs. With the funds provided by the orphanage, they could barely afford his sister's treatment. However, he didn't have much time to take care of his sister. Every time he went to work, Hu-hai would send someone to take his sister away and hand her over to the client. She was sick. Even if she cried and threw a tantrum, Hu-hai could still coax Muli. Until one day, the client went overboard and killed his sister. He even left marks on her hands and feet. They had made up an excuse to fool Muli, but Muli saw the marks. Muli was so angry that he wanted to call the police. At that time, Hu Hai was working with the client. He couldn't afford to offend the client and let the police investigate. However, Muli was just an orphan. No one cared if he died, so Hu Hai decided to kill him and eliminate him completely. After that, Muli was forced to jump into the sea. 7 years later, he came back. He was the youngest doctor with a high education. 7 years ago, his name wasn't Muli. He took the surname of the director of the orphanage. He looked very different from 7 years ago. He couldn't remember anything. You've harmed too many people. That's why you can't remember? Shisheng mercilessly exposed Hu Hai's cover. If a person had harmed only one person, he would remember that person. He would feel like that person was everywhere. Who was that person? Who? Hu Hai didn't understand. Who was the person who killed Muli's sister? It was Ren Hua. Shisheng took out a medicine bottle from his space and unscrewed the cap. Hu Hai naturally recognized it. I'll tell you everything you want to know. What do you want to do? Shisheng took the medicine bottle and walked forward with a smile. Let Director Hu have a taste of this medicine. Hu Hai shook his head in horror. No. That's not up to you. Shisheng pinched Hu Hai's chin and fed him the entire bottle of medicine. He only let him go after he made sure that Hu Hai had swallowed all the medicine. Ugh. Hu Hai wanted to spit the medicine out. He could only take one pill at a time. If he took so many, he would die. Shisheng waited for about an hour before he let Hu Hai go. He erased all traces of his presence and climbed onto the windowsill. Dr. Hu, enjoy the rest of your time. She jumped down from the windowsill. Hu Hai was still lying on the ground. An hour had passed, and he could no longer spit out the medicine. No, he didn't want to die. Hu Hai scrambled to find his phone. As if he was grabbing onto a life-saving straw. He quickly flipped through his address book. Hey, I want to see you right now. I want it now. If something happens to me, you won't be able to escape either. F***CK. Hu Hai hung up the phone after roaring. He got up from the ground and walked out. Shisheng watched as Hu Hai drove away. She followed behind him at a leisurely pace. Hu Hai went to meet someone. Perhaps the two of them did not come to an agreement and quarreled. Hu Hai slammed the door and left. Halfway through, Hu Hai's expression suddenly turned sinister, and he turned back. Before the man could react, he stabbed him to death with a single stab of the knife. One pill could make a patient lose his mind. Shisheng had fed him so many pills. It was normal for him to stab someone to death. On the way back, Hu Hai became more and more distracted and irritable. The traffic light did not turn on for a long time. Hu Hai stepped on the accelerator and crashed into a truck. The truck flipped over and slid on the road for a distance. The ear-piercing screeches pierced the air. Shisheng stood on the sidewalk and coldly watched as the pedestrians rushed in his direction. Shisheng turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the crowd. It was a traffic accident, and the victim was the vice director of the Zhongshan Mental Hospital, who had caused a stir recently. The case was then handed over to Zhou Ning. When Zhou Ning checked the surveillance camera, he saw Shisheng standing on the sidewalk. His face darkened. It was her again. Why was she everywhere? She was standing so far away this time, so Zhou Ning had no reason to look for her. He could only suspect her in his heart. Muli's first reaction when he saw the news was to grab Shisheng by the collar and pull him in front of him. Didn't I tell you not to do anything to him? Shisheng looked innocent. He got into a car accident. What does it have to do with me? Muli looked at him and did not speak. Okay. But if you don't kill him, he will kill you. Shisheng surrendered. How can I watch him do that to you? Even if I want to, I can't. Muli suddenly pulled Shisheng into his arms. And what should I do with you? She always caused a lot of trouble when he was not paying attention, and it was the dangerous kind. Shisheng hugged him and said softly, You only need to do one thing. Stay by my side. I can clear all obstacles for you. You only need to sit on the throne I made up for you and never betray me. Muli tightened his arms. He would always stay by her side. After a long time, Muli let go of her. What else did you do? Ren Hua. Muli was puzzled. That. Hu Hai told me something. Renhua should be the person you are looking for. Muli frowned. You know about it? Yes. Muli looked out of the window. A long time ago, he wanted to take revenge, but he did not know when it started. This thought gradually faded, but it was still important. It was as if this thought was what kept him alive. Ever since he met her, this matter did not seem to be so important. But he had to do it. Muli asked his men to use the information that Shisheng had given him previously. One after another, scandals were exposed. People from all walks of life started to feel uneasy. In this world, who did not have scandals? Especially those who were related to Zhongshan Mental Hospital. They were even more anxious. But now that Hu Hai was dead, all they could do was think of ways to clear their names. At the smoking area of the hospital, a man was talking to a man standing at the door of the ward. Captain, who do you think did this? We have been investigating for so long, but we haven't found any useful information. This person dragged so many people down with him. I don't know. The captain took a puff of his cigarette and said in a low voice, Inform everyone to start working. I've already informed them. Let's see how they are going to argue this time. We have been following this case for so long. This time, it's finally going to be over. The captain looked at him deeply. Do you think we should be happy? Shouldn't we be? With so much evidence, it would be much easier for them to investigate. The captain was exasperated. There's an unknown person who obtained so much evidence when we couldn't find anything. Do you think this person is helping us by revealing it now? Don't tell me he's not. Look at the list of names. Any one of them is enough to make us busy. We still need to verify whether the evidence is real or not. It's not just because the higher-ups say so. So much time is enough for those people to destroy the evidence. Do you still think he's helping us? Chapter 1133. With Zhongshan Mental Hospital as the lead, the scandals that were exposed shocked the whole country. Not everything was related to Zhongshan Mental Hospital, but these things all started with Zhongshan Mental Hospital. Later, some people called this incident the Zhongshan incident. Although some people destroyed the evidence in time, they still couldn't escape the punishment. Sula lay on the bed, watching the news on TV in a daze. It was the latest development of the Zhongshan incident. It is reported that the vice president of Zhongshan Mental Hospital, Hu Hai, took a drug and was in a daze. He crashed into a truck and died on the spot. This drug was used by Hu Hai to control the patients in the hospital. The specific ingredients are still being tested by the relevant departments. After Sulu was taken away, because they didn't find her in time, Sulu also took that drug. Her mental state was not normal now. Her eyes were cloudy and she stared at the news without blinking. No one knew what she was looking at. Outside the ward, the captain and a few team members stood and looked at the people inside. Captain, can Xiaolu be cured? She's still so young. We shouldn't have let her go in as a spy. She had a better future, but now, everyone was silent. Sulu was the captain's junior sister, and they had the same teacher. The captain should be the one who suffered the most. They had been following this case for a while, but there was no progress. Hu Hai and the group behind him did a good job of keeping it a secret. When Sulu heard about this case, she took the initiative to go in as a spy, but the teacher and he didn't agree. In the end, Sulu secretly used her connections to go in. Since things had come to this, they could only beat her at her own game. The captain retracted his gaze. Who leaked the news that day? Have you found out? That day, they suddenly received a message from Sulu and wanted to meet. They used to exchange information through the people in the hospital. Sulu suddenly wanted to meet, so something big must have happened. But when they arrived, there was only a crazy woman at the scene. Those people took Sulu away before them. Someone must have leaked the news and knew that Sulu was a spy. There are no clues. Xiaolu can't explain anything. There was another silence. The captain sighed. Let's go. There are still many things to deal with. The group looked into the ward and each of them looked regretful. Hu Hai was already dead. No one could understand his research. Also, this wasn't a poison that could be cured with an antidote. Sulu hurt her brain nerves. The Zhongshan incident gradually came to an end. Because of this incident, The reputation of Zhongshan Hospital was greatly damaged. Many people took their patients away, and the hospital also paid a lot of compensation. Back then, those funds were all pulled in by Hu Hai. Without Hu Hai and his investors, Zhongshan Hospital was on the verge of collapse. The entire hospital seemed extremely desolate. Shisheng sat in the corridor of the hospital and watched as the family members took the patients away. Enchi. A tall figure stood in front of Shisheng. Oh, it's you. Shisheng smiled ambiguously. Are you leaving too? Deng Jun carried some things in his hands and smiled bitterly. Now that the hospital is in such a state, no one can stay here anymore. Deng Jun wasn't a kind person. The only reason he had warned Shisheng back then was because she had saved his life. What are you going to do in the future? Deng Jun asked hesitantly. He heard that she didn't have a family. Shisheng raised his chin. Someone is going to take care of me. Deng Jun followed Shisheng's gaze and saw Muli, who had changed into casual clothes, walking over from a distance. He wasn't wearing glasses, and the elegant aura he used to have was gone. All that was left was a sharp and fierce aura. So what they said was true. The hospital had heard that the relationship between the two of them was not simple. Shisheng stood up from the corridor and waved at Deng Jun. I'm leaving. Deng Jun also smiled and waved at her. Muli stood a few steps away and looked at him. Deng Jun felt a chill and an indescribable fear rise up in him for no reason. He watched as Muli put his arm around Shisheng and kissed him on the forehead. Then he led him out of the hospital. Deng Jun followed them out of the hospital. Muli's car was parked outside. He let Shisheng get in first before he walked around the car and got into the driver's seat. That man gave him a completely different feeling when he was with her. Muli had never thought that the most difficult road he had anticipated would be passed so easily. And it was all because of her. Muli looked sideways at the girl in the front passenger seat. And she, what do you want to do next? Well, I want to find my family. There was only one task left. Shisheng looked at him sideways. You don't have to tell me. I can find out myself. I'm sorry. Of course you have to keep your promise. Shisheng didn't mind. Muli's heart trembled. Sometimes, she was unreasonable. For example, she threatened him by jumping off a building. But sometimes, she was exceptionally comforting. She didn't force him to tell her just because they were together. He could tell her without hesitation. If she really wanted to know, he would definitely tell her. Are you in love with me? Shisheng moved closer to him. Have sex with you? Ha. Muli's tone was a little strange. Shisheng was speechless. His wife had become dirty. She even knew how to flirt with him. Why don't we go back and try? Have you recovered from your injury? It had been so long. A few days ago, he didn't have any reaction when she touched him. After enduring for so long, he could finally have sex with her. Shisheng was very excited. Muli pushed her aside. Don't get too close to me. Why? Shisheng stared at him. Muli's throat bobbed. His voice was a little hoarse. I'm afraid I won't be able to resist. Shisheng rolled his eyes. Then don't resist. It's not like I won't let you sleep with me. Didn't you enjoy kissing me just now? Muli was helpless. I'm driving. They were on the road. He didn't want to die in a car accident. Shisheng finally settled down and sat in the front passenger seat to play games. Muli looked at his cell phone and felt even more helpless. He should buy her a new one. Muli took Shisheng to buy a new cell phone and computer. Sometimes, she needed to play games on the computer. There was nothing he could do but watch her play. You're pretty rich, aren't you? Shisheng opened Muli's wallet. There were several cards and a lot of cash inside. Muli took out the cards and handed them to Shisheng. There's not much money inside, but it should be enough for you to spend. Don't worry, the money I earn in the future will be yours. Is this considered keeping me? Are you willing to do it? Shisheng put the cards back and patted Muli's chest. If you want to keep me, you'll have to pay at least 10 million yuan. Good luck. Muli was speechless. 10 million yuan. This goal was a little far away, but he would try his best. The staff at the counter looked at the two of them in confusion. Wasn't this girl a little too arrogant? If she said 10 million yuan, She would be worth as much as an A-list celebrity. Chapter 1134. After shopping, Muli put the things in the trunk. Shisheng leaned against the car door and waited for him. And Zhou Ning was wearing a uniform and looked very dispirited. He walked over with a fierce look on his face. "Ah, Officer Zhou, what a coincidence." Zhou Ning's expression was very bad. "Unfortunately, there was a murder here. Don't tell me you sleepwalked here again?" She was at every crime scene. It was hard not to arouse suspicion. Shisheng looked around and saw the police cordon in a building at the corner of the street. "Officer Zhou, what's the matter?" Muli came from behind and touched Shisheng's head. He said softly, "Get in the car first." "Why do you care what I do here? Do I have to report to you where I am?" Shisheng was not happy with the male lead. He opened the car door and said, "Don't always think that I did it. Otherwise, you'll never catch the murderer in your life." The car door closed with a bang. "Why does the male lead have to hold on to me? How do I look like a bad guy?" "You don't look like one. You are one." Shisheng crossed his arms and leaned against the seat. "Buttface, I have some unfortunate news for you. Do you want to hear it?" "Unfortunate? How unfortunate? Could it be more unfortunate than now?" "Go ahead." Shisheng calmly took out her tablet and tapped on it a few times. After about 3 seconds, he tapped on it again. "I'm so tired. Can't I even go online and offline freely now? Master, if you don't come back soon, the system will be changed beyond recognition. It will no longer be the system that you know. Forget it. Anyway, it will happen sooner or later. I'll just take it one step at a time." "Oh, you're so calm?" The system didn't roar. Did its character collapse? It wasn't the character that collapsed. It was the system that collapsed. It couldn't beat her, couldn't scold her, and couldn't even control its memory. What else could it do? It was desperate. As long as you're happy. Before its master came back, it would be better to be a system. It wouldn't be so arrogant in the future. "Buttface, are you going to betray your master for glory?" Shisheng tried to coax the system. "Host, don't even think about it. In my settings, my loyalty to master is 100%. Even if you destroy me, I will not betray master." The system was very resolute. "Okay." Shisheng took the tablet back. The system tried to go offline, and when it found that it could, it immediately went offline. When she didn't need to force him to log in and out, he should still be able to log in and out freely. While Shisheng was talking nonsense with the system, Muli and Zhou Ning had finished their conversation. Zhou Ning glared at Muli unwillingly. When a person subconsciously decided on something, it would be very difficult to shift their focus. If Zhou Ning thought that Shisheng was related to these cases, he would keep an eye on Shisheng and miss a lot of clues. It was not Zhou Ning's fault. After all, Shisheng's appearance was always so coincidental. It was so coincidental that it was hard to believe that she was not the murderer. Back home, Muli asked Shisheng, who was slumped on the sofa without a care for his image, "What do you want to eat tonight?" Shisheng turned around and listed a list of dishes without hesitation. Muli was speechless. She was really shameless. Didn't other girlfriends say things like, "As long as it's made by you, you can do anything you want"? Maybe he had a fake girlfriend. Muli rummaged through the fridge. "I don't have enough ingredients. I'll go downstairs and buy some from the supermarket." "I'll go with you." Shisheng jumped up. "I have to keep an eye on you in case someone else takes a fancy to you." Muli liked it when she stuck to him. Naturally, he would not reject her. There was a chain supermarket outside Muli's neighborhood. It was very well stocked. Muli bought the ingredients according to Shisheng's list. "Can you digest all the food you're eating tonight?" Shisheng threw snacks into the cart and answered casually, "I'll only have strength when I'm full." Muli was speechless. It wasn't that he was thinking the wrong way. It was just that her words were wrong. "Don't eat so much snacks. The food I make for you is more nutritious than these." Shisheng looked at the cart and stopped throwing snacks. He pointed in a direction and said, "Let's go over there and buy something." "What do you want to buy?" Shisheng rolled his eyes. "Something for girls, of course." Muli blushed. "I'll wait for you at the checkout area." Shisheng waved his hand and walked to the daily necessities section alone. There were fewer people here. She walked around and bought daily necessities and night necessities under the salesperson's recommendation. Shisheng took the groceries and walked to the checkout area. After taking a few steps, she looked back. Why did she feel that someone was following her? Shisheng took a few steps back. There were two girls dressed like students behind the shelves. They were discussing which brand to buy. The salesperson who had sold her the groceries was standing next to them. There was no one else. Shisheng frowned and continued to take a few steps back. There was a man on the phone behind a shelf. He sounded angry. It seemed that he was quarreling with someone. Was it her imagination? Shisheng took the groceries and found Muli. She did not feel that someone was following her. What are you thinking about? I feel that someone is following me. Shisheng looked around. Everyone was doing their job. A few girls were pointing at Muli with blushing faces. There was no suspicious person at all. Let's go out and try, Muli said in a low voice. Muli paid the bill quickly and held Shisheng's hand as they walked out of the supermarket. They slowed down and took a detour to the back gate of the neighborhood. It was more secluded here. If someone was following her, it would be easier to take action. However, they did not find anyone suspicious when they reached the back gate of the neighborhood. Muli touched Shisheng's head. Don't think about it. Come with me when you go out next time. I don't need your protection. But I want to protect you. Muli pinched her cheeks. You're embarrassing me. Shisheng hugged Muli's arm. Dr. Mu, please protect me. Then he calmly let go of him. Are you embarrassed now? Muli was speechless. #My wife is different from other people's wives. What happened to being gentle, virtuous, and kind? Are you leaving or not? Are you going to stand here and celebrate the new year? Shisheng had already walked to the front and was urging him impatiently. Muli sighed. Forget it. No matter what she was like, she was still her. There was a lot of food for dinner. Muli was afraid that Shisheng would feel uncomfortable eating too much, so he made a small portion. However, there were many dishes and Shisheng was still a little full. She rubbed her stomach and moved from the dining table to the sofa. She was about to lie down when Muli grabbed her. We just ate. Let's move around. Then give me a kiss. Muli was speechless. He felt like he was being taken advantage of all the time. Muli was afraid that Shisheng would sit back down, so he kissed her cheek. Shisheng then walked around the living room unwillingly. When Muli entered the kitchen, she immediately sat back down. Muli stuck half of his body out of the kitchen. And Shisheng was speechless. Did he have eyes on the back of his head? Asking for Chinese redbud flavored votes today. Don't ask me what Chinese redbud flavored tastes like. I don't know either. Asking for votes every day. Cherub, Liangji, in the book review and comment section. Cherub, Sheng, in the book review and comment section. Chapter 1135. Shisheng and Muli stayed at home for a few days. Shisheng could only leave the house after Muli had claimed all the benefits of being single for so many years. Muli wanted to earn money to support Shisheng, so the two of them went their separate ways. Shisheng found the professor named Hushu that Dr. Zhang had told him about. Hushu lived alone in an old residential building. His house was well kept. He was a professor after all, so his living conditions were not bad. The old man with white hair welcomed Shisheng into the house. He looked surprised. And why are you here? Come in. Did the hospital send you here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? Shisheng nodded politely. I came here on my own. I wanted to ask Professor Hu some questions. Hushu's expression froze. He suddenly sighed. You want to ask about your background, right? Can Professor Hu tell me? Hushu closed the door and walked to the sofa in the living room. He gestured for Shisheng to take a seat before he turned around to make tea. After he was done, he sat opposite Shisheng. Hushu was silent for a long time before he said seriously, Xiaoqi, it's better that you don't know about this. Shisheng's voice was very calm. I want to know where I came from. Hushu sighed again. He got up and went to his bedroom. When he came out, he was holding an envelope in his hand. He held the envelope and hesitated for a long time before he handed it to Shisheng. Your mother left this for you. She said that if you asked about it one day, I would give it to you. If you didn't ask about it, she would never let you know about it. Shisheng took the envelope. There was only one piece of paper inside. Xiaoqi, I don't know if you will regain your memory, but since you saw this letter, it means that you want to know about your background. But I hope that you don't look for it. Just live your life like this and live a good life. Of course, that's what I want. I can't deprive you of the right to know the truth. If you must know, go and find Muchen. He will tell you everything. Live a good life. Love, Mom. The letter ended here. Muchen Muli? What was their relationship? Hu Hai had said that Mu Li's surname was not Mu 7 years ago. Who is Muchen? Shisheng asked Hu Shu. Hu Shu took out a few newspapers from under the coffee table and flipped through them. He flipped to the entertainment section and pointed at a man. He's Muchen. From the entertainment industry. This plot had really taken a turn. The Mu family. Hu Shu sighed. Xiaoqi, I've watched your mother grow up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken such a big risk to keep you here. Your mother wants you to live well and not do anything stupid. I'll be alive. Shisheng stood up. Thank you for telling me, Professor Hu. Hu Shu's eyes revealed a trace of helplessness. He knew that the girl in front of him would not listen to his advice. When Shisheng found Muchen, Muchen was filming an ancient drama. Although Muchen was not young anymore, he looked even more manly in the ancient drama than those little fresh meats. Muchen was very famous in the entertainment industry. He had already won the Best Actor award. This was a fighting scene. Muchen seemed to have practiced it before as he didn't use any body doubles. Muchen's scene was over very quickly. He was surrounded by his assistants. The assistant director came over from the director's side and spoke carefully. Brother Chen, thank you for your hard work. There are still a few scenes that need to be edited. Brother Chen, are you in a hurry? Muchen was a cold person. He didn't respond to the assistant director. His manager pulled the assistant director aside to talk to him. Muchen went back to the resting area and saw a girl sitting on his seat. He frowned. The assistant beside him felt the cold air and went forward to scold her. Are you a staff member here? This is Brother Chen's chair. How dare you sit on it? Get up. The girl raised her head. Muchen was stunned. He pulled the assistant back. Brother Chen? Go outside and watch, Muchen said. His voice was as cold as his appearance. The assistant's gaze swept between Shisheng and Muchen as he muttered in his heart. Who is this girl? The assistant was afraid that Muchen would flip out. He was full of questions. He retreated outside to prevent the paparazzi from taking photos. Muchen walked to Shisheng and looked down at him. Have you recovered your memory? No. Shisheng shook his head. Muchen frowned. Then how did you find me? Shisheng waved the letter in his hand. It was never difficult to talk to smart people. Give me a minute. Muchen turned around to call his assistant. He said something to him and left with Shisheng. The assistant was dumbfounded. Brother Chen left with a girl. He really left. Muchen brought Shisheng back to his apartment. Sit anywhere. What do you want to drink? Anything is fine. Shisheng found a place to sit down. He didn't show any discomfort because he was in such a luxurious place. Muchen didn't find it strange. He took a drink from the fridge and placed it in front of Shisheng. Aren't you afraid that I'll do something to you? Shisheng smiled. What do you want to do to me? Muchen's cold face suddenly smiled. You should call me uncle. Shisheng. Shisheng compared himself to Muchen. There was no similarity at all. It seems that you really don't remember. Muchen sat opposite her. His body was very relaxed. That's right. The drug is very strong. It's a miracle that you can still think clearly. What do you want to know? You threw me into Zhongshan Mental Hospital? Sort of. Why? She wanted you to live. Shisheng guessed that Muchen was talking about her mother. When Muchen talked about her, he suddenly became gentle. Do you mind telling me from the beginning? Muchen glanced at Shisheng. Do you really want to know? Sometimes knowing the truth is better than dying in the dark. Muchen pressed his fist against his lips. He was silent for a while, as if he was thinking about what to say. Shisheng didn't rush him. The two of them sat quietly in the living room. It was as if there was no one else in the room. After a long while, Muchen spoke. 22 years ago, her mother and her father met in the business world. At that time, her mother was already a famous woman. She had a good family background, was beautiful, and was smart and talented. She was the woman that almost everyone in the circle wanted to marry. She was an only child. Marrying her meant marrying the company behind her. However, her mother was very arrogant. She didn't like anyone. At least, before she met her father, she didn't like anyone. However, after meeting her father, her mother suddenly fell in love. At that time, her father only wanted to get close to her because of the huge company behind her. He could get so much money just by marrying a woman. Which man wouldn't be tempted? Women in love were often blind. They couldn't see the people around them clearly. Her mother thought that the man really liked her. She ignored her family's objections and married into the Mu family. Chapter 1136. Because of her identity and the power behind her, she did live a good life for a period of time. But as she gradually handed over some of her power, things began to change. These things accumulated over a long period of time. When the host was 18 years old, a woman came to her house with 2 children. All the conflicts were triggered. The host's mother was put under house arrest. For the sake of the host, she had to hand over the company under her name. But the 2 illegitimate children couldn't stand the host. They got a drug from somewhere and injected it into the host. The drug was addictive and was similar to drugs. When the host was found, she had lost most of her memories. The host's mother begged her brother-in-law, who had always liked her, to take the host away. Muchen had never thought of fighting for the family property. He had been in the entertainment industry since he was young. Those who wanted to fight for the family property didn't care much about Muchen, the youngest young master. But it wasn't easy for Muchen to take the host away. The host's mother seemed to have transferred something to the host's name. Because of this, the host's father kept a close watch on her. In the end, the host's mother helped him to take her away. He spent a long time avoiding the Mu family's eyes and settled her down. But when he came back, the host's mother was dead. At the same time, an illegitimate child was also dead. To put it bluntly, it was a feud between rich and powerful families. The host was just an unlucky person. She became the fruit of a marriage that used love as a scam. What did she leave for me? Since the Mu family cared so much about it, it must not be something simple. I don't know. It should be related to the Fu family. In these years, he hasn't completely taken over your mother's company. Fu was the surname of the host's mother. Muchen paused. She is smart. She won't really hand over the important things. You are her only child. She must have left it to you. If you never remember it, no one will know about it. The Fu family will donate all their money to charity. They can fake it and say that I am dead. The things under my name will naturally return to their hands. Muchen looked at her. If you are dead, those things will also be donated. No one will get it. Shisheng pondered for a moment. Now the host's identity was almost clear. The host only asked her to find out her identity. She didn't ask her to help her counterattack. So the mission ended here. Shisheng stood up. Thank you for telling me. Muchen was stunned for a moment before he stopped Shisheng. Aren't you going to ask anything else? Is there anything else you want to ask? She already knew what she needed to know. Muchen. In order to avoid being found out by the Mu family, he never went to see her nor did he ask about her. He didn't expect that after not seeing her for so many years, she had developed such a character. Don't you want to know what your mother left you? Not interested. Other than money and power, these things were easy for her. There was nothing to fight for. Muchen looked at Shisheng strangely, as if he was trying to figure out if she really didn't care, or if she was just pretending. Then, I wish you good luck. Since she had already come out, how could she stay out of trouble? Ding-ling, the doorbell suddenly rang. Muchen got up to open the door, and saw the man standing outside. Why are you here? What about her? Muchen understood and let him in. Are you afraid that I'll do something to her? Muli walked in with a dark face. He heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Shisheng standing there unscathed. Shisheng was surprised. Why are you here? I'm worried about you. When he saw that the paparazzi had taken pictures of her and Mu Chen together on Weibo, he immediately put down what he was doing and rushed over. Mu Chen crossed his arms and looked at Shisheng and Muli. She's her child after all. I won't do anything to her. But Muli, it seems that you haven't fulfilled your promise to me. She's safe now. Mu Chen snorted. Is that so? Muli's gaze was firm. I'll protect her. Mu Chen raised his hand. Anyway, I was being nosy. You can leave. From now on we're even. Muli immediately brought Shisheng outside. Mu Chen didn't stop them. Mu Chen sighed after the two disappeared from his sight. I really can't bring myself to do it. Is it because she's your child? Outside the villa, Muli stuffed Shisheng into the car and quickly started the car. The villa area behind them gradually disappeared. Muli's voice slowly sounded. Mu Chen asked me to take you away. He didn't say what his motive was. He only asked me to find a safe place for you. I owe him a favor and I have to return it to him. Muli didn't know the relationship between Mu Chen and her. He was too lazy to ask. As long as he did this well, he would have returned the favor and could enter the hospital smoothly. But he didn't expect that he would fall in love with her. Shisheng added, he had a motive for pursuing me, but he gave it up later. There's something wrong with him. Mu Chen wasn't as open-minded as he appeared to be. He wasn't after power. On the contrary, he hid his ambition so deep that no one noticed it. This kind of person was very scary when he fought back. He probably really liked the mother of the original owner. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given up such a good opportunity. To Shisheng, there was definitely something wrong with her to give up such a good opportunity. If there was a day where you had to choose between Feng Xi and something else important to you, what would you choose? The system suddenly popped up to ask. Why would I choose? Give me an example. There's no if. I won't put him in danger. Host, you'll be at a disadvantage if you're so arrogant. Who didn't have accidents in life? Shisheng snorted. You can try. Very good. So arrogant and conceited. As expected of its host, Muli was very worried about her. He didn't go out for the next few days and stayed at home to accompany her. It was as if he was afraid that something would happen to her if he turned around. In the end, Shisheng saw that he was impatient and chased him out. This guy kept hovering in front of her. She couldn't even concentrate on playing games. Muli came back on time every day. He would only be early and never late. But in return his time was reduced. He could only wait until Shisheng went to bed every day before going to the study to continue his unfinished work. Shisheng didn't go out for the next few days. But every time she went out, she could feel that someone was following her. Shisheng deliberately chose a night to go out for a walk. He deliberately went to a remote place. Looking around, it was a good place to fight. Shisheng rolled up his sleeves. Come out. The people who were following her didn't expect this. After a while, they walked out from the shadows. There were a total of 3 people. One of them stood at the front and nodded at Shisheng. Miss Sir invites you home. Home? What home? The Mu family. Chapter 1137. At the Mu residence. Mu Bai was sitting in the living room. Beside him was a boy of about 18 or 19 years old. He had a delicate face and was sizing Mu Bai up. The adoration in his eyes gave Mu Bai goosebumps. He was a gentleman with a normal sexual orientation. Besides, both of their surnames were Mu. Who knows, we might have been a family a few hundred years ago. Mu Bai ignored the boy's gaze and looked at the middle-aged man opposite him. The middle-aged man's face darkened and he seemed to be deep in thought. After about a minute he said, Mr. Mu, can you really help me get the thing? As long as you can help me, I will naturally help you. Mu Bai nodded slightly. No matter what kind of appearance he had, he could always act like a noble and gentlemanly gentleman. It was amazing. Daddy, what are you still thinking about? Promise, brother Mu. The boy suddenly sat beside the middle-aged man and shook his hand coquettishly. Seriously, Mubai's heart was broken when he saw such a big boy acting coquettishly. He would rather see that crazy Shisheng. Don't mess around. The middle-aged man scolded the boy, but his eyes were full of love. Daddy, with the help of the boy's coquettishness, the middle-aged man finally agreed to Mubai's request. After the matter was settled, Mubai immediately walked out. Before he could walk out, he heard a voice calling out, "Brother Mu. Brother Mu, your uncle." Mubai walked even faster, but the girl behind him did not give up at all. She chased him out of the door and finally caught up with him after some distance. "Brother Mu, why are you walking so fast? I can't even catch up with you." "I'm not your brother." Mubai pulled away from the boy. "I have something to do." "Second young master, please stay." The boy grabbed Mubai's arm and his eyes flashed with a strange light. "Brother Mu, let me treat you to a meal." Mubai felt a chill. He knew this person's fetish. He did not want to be drugged and then it was too scary. Mubai pulled his arm away and his aura suddenly became strong. "Second young master, please go back. Don't bother me anymore. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Mubai took the opportunity to leave while the boy was still in shock. He kept looking back and saw that no one was chasing after him. He then heaved a sigh of relief. Before he could relax, he saw the person standing on the path opposite him. He almost choked to death. It's over. How is this woman so fast? His plan was going to be ruined before it even started. Mubai turned around and ran. The iron sword suddenly fell from the sky and blocked his path. Mubai's body stiffened as he stood rooted to the ground. Calm down. Calm down. He couldn't lose face. Mubai took a deep breath and restrained the malevolence on his face. He turned around and smiled elegantly and gently, looking like a true gentleman. "Miss Shisheng." Shisheng walked over from afar and looked at him with a faint smile. "You have good luck with women." The smile on Mubai's face froze. "Miss Shisheng, you must be joking." He would never admit that a man had taken a fancy to him. Shisheng's smile deepened. She waved her hand in the air, and the iron sword flew from behind Mubai and landed in her hand. Shisheng swung his iron sword at Mubai. Mubai's eyes widened. "Wait. Why aren't you following the script again? You were asking questions just now. Why aren't you asking anything now?" Mubai dodged the iron sword awkwardly. She was too fast and every move was aimed at his life. He didn't even have time to kill himself. What a ruthless woman. She didn't even let him kill himself. Mubai steeled himself and looked at the trajectory of the iron sword. He should have dodged it, but he suddenly charged forward and the iron sword pierced through his abdomen. Mubai held the iron sword and met Shisheng's gaze. He smiled maliciously. "Do you think you can stop me like this?" He would be back. If he didn't kill her, his name wouldn't be Mubai. Shisheng laughed along with him and spun the iron sword 360 degrees. "I really hope you can come back. After all, fighting with you is much more interesting than fighting with those little cheese." Mubai's face was already pale. After being teased by Shisheng, he looked even paler. What do you mean?" Mubai lowered his head and looked at the iron sword in his hand. "What did you do?" Shisheng slowly pulled the sword out. "It seems like you don't know me well enough. This sword is called Soul Snatcher. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before." "Iron sword. I don't have such a messy name. Master, please don't change my name again. Thank you very much." Without the support of the iron sword, Mubai fell to his knees. He clutched his abdomen with one hand and supported himself with the other. "Bulsh *T, your sword. Whether I'm Bulsh *Ting or not, you'll know soon enough." Mubai wanted to say something, but he knew there was no time. A large amount of white light appeared in front of him, and he lost consciousness in the blink of an eye. "Ah, Shisheng, you little *tch, just you wait. He wouldn't die just like that." Shisheng looked at the lifeless Mubai and his eyes darkened. He wasn't sure if it would work. But if he didn't try, who knew if it would work? The Mu family was ready, but Mubai suddenly died. The Mu family was dumbfounded. He was so confident just now. How could he just die like that? This was too casual. While the Mu family was still in a daze, someone sent an invitation to a banquet in a few days. The invitation was from Enchi. Enchi, Papa Mu slammed the invitation on the table. The people standing opposite him didn't even dare to breathe. They lost contact with the people he sent. Mu Bai, who was so confident before, suddenly died. No matter how one looked at it, this was all very unusual. Sir? Are we going? Papa Mu sneered. Of course, why not? I want to see what she's up to. The banquet was held in the biggest hotel in the city. The invited guests were from all the major media outlets and business circles. Shisheng didn't know how she could invite all these people. She couldn't, but some people could. She just needed to get those people to come. Needless to say, with so many people gathered together, something big was going to happen. Only a fool wouldn't come. Everyone present started to exchange information. What's going on? Have you heard any rumors? No. We just received an invitation suddenly. It's from the higher-ups. How could we not come? I don't know what's going on. It's so mysterious. Why are there so many reporters over there? Could it be that there's something to announce? I don't know. I'll go and ask. The person who said this was someone he knew. He went over and asked a few questions. Then he came back helplessly. They don't know either. The higher-ups asked them to come. Everyone looked at each other for a moment. They didn't know what was going on. Then, they could only wait and see what was going on. Papa Mu listened to their discussion, and finally realized that these people were invited by the higher-ups. But he wasn't. He was invited by Enchi. Papa Mu started to imagine all kinds of scenarios in his head. He was worried that she had found someone to back her up. Mu Bai. Why is it me again? Why? Why? Chapter 1138. Almost everyone had arrived, but no one went up to the stage to host the banquet. The crowd could only guess what was going on. Suddenly, a girl jumped down from the stage. Someone had seen her enter the banquet hall. She was dressed casually and looked out of place in the banquet hall. The girl tapped on the microphone and held it in her hand. I invited everyone here today to be a witness. What? Who is she? What witness? No one knew who she was, and the crowd started to suspect that they had been tricked. After all, the person who invited them did not even show his face. Shisheng did not care about the crowd's discussion. She continued to speak. I will donate everything to establish the Jasmine Charity Foundation. After she finished speaking, the entire banquet hall became quiet. Everyone's gazes landed on Shisheng. There was disbelief, shock, surprise, all sorts of gazes as they sized up the young lady standing on the stage. Was she talking about the Fu family? Everyone in the Fu family was dead. However, the only heir of the Fu family, the husband of the Mu family, did not officially announce that he was going to take over the Fu family. Everyone had heard about the grudges between them. The daughter of the Fu family had also disappeared a few years ago. While everyone was still in shock, the girl on the stage spoke again. So those who are still thinking about the Fu family, please stop. I have signed the contract. The law is now in effect. It's useless for you to hold on to me. Don't come looking for me again. Otherwise, don't blame me for taking action against the Mu family. She was not interested in the Mu family. She also did not want to avenge the previous owner of the body. She had already fulfilled the previous owner's last wish. She did not care about these things. She did this just to get rid of the Mu family. If she did not stand up for them, they would continue to pester her. She would have to spend time tormenting them. Compared to tormenting them, she would rather torment Mu Li. Now that she had donated everything, no one would get anything. Shisheng's donation was transparent. It proved that she did not leave anything behind. Papa Mu did not expect Shisheng to do this. He thought that she had found someone to rely on, and wanted to show off. Who would have thought that she would donate all those things right in front of him? Shisheng jumped down from the stage and swaggered away. When she reached the door, she suddenly looked in a direction and waved her hand. Thanks, boss. The boss in the cubicle. I don't want to see you anymore. Get lost. Mu Chen stood in the corner and looked at Shisheng's back as he left. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he muttered. Your daughter is very impressive. Indeed, the Mu family did not look for Shisheng again, but Zhou Ning did. Someone had seen Shisheng in the vicinity because of Mu Bai's death. Shisheng lured Zhou Ning to a secluded place and beat him up. If Muli had not appeared in time, Zhou Ning would have been beaten to death by Shisheng. Zhou Ning had a few unsolved cases on his hands. Because he was distracted during work, he almost killed his teammates. It was understandable if he made one mistake, but if he kept making mistakes, Zhou Ning was suspended. Zhou Ning was obsessed with Shisheng and always felt that she was the murderer. After he was suspended, he followed Shisheng several times. Shisheng immediately called the police. Zhou Ning was probably traumatized after being taken away by his former colleagues. It was impossible for him to go back to work now. After a period of treatment, Su Le was sent to a mental hospital. Her condition was not very stable, and she was often in a muddle-headed state. This time, she did not have to pretend to be a psychopath. She was a psychopath. Shisheng did not see her again, but he saw her on the news one day. Su Le had jumped off a building. She died on the spot. Why are you watching this? Muli turned off the TV and stuffed the laptop into her arms. Go play games in your room. Don't disturb me. Shisheng held the laptop and looked at Muli in confusion. How am I disturbing you? She did not do anything, okay? You are disturbing me by being here. Muli pinched her face. With you here, I don't want to work anymore. I just want to. He leaned closer to Shisheng and said 2 words in her ear. Then don't work anymore. I have money. Shisheng moved closer, and Muli quickly let go of the laptop in his hand. If she did that, he would have to start all over again. Muli wrapped his arms around Shisheng's waist and lifted her up. He kissed her pink lips. When they were both panting, Muli let go of her. No way. If I don't work, how can I support you? Your starting price is so high. I have to work hard. I can give you a discount. Shisheng looked serious. Muli laughed and coaxed her softly. Stop fooling around. Be good and stay here. I'll be done soon. Shisheng moved out of his arms and sat on the floor. She leaned against his legs and turned on the laptop. Muli's voice suddenly rang out. You're not allowed to look at those things. She was a girl. Why did she look at those unhealthy things all day long? What was so good about other people? Wasn't it enough for him to show her all day long? Shisheng's hand trembled as she opened a website. She closed the website that she had just opened. You're so nosy. If she couldn't look at spiritual food, then she would dig a hole. Many people in this world were cheated again. As usual, they were willing to be cheated. In this life, Muli lived a long and healthy life. He died of natural causes. Shisheng had sent him away many times. She knew that some things were changing, but she didn't want to stop it. Humans just wanted to be happy. After Muli closed his eyes, Shisheng took off the watch on his wrist. She held his hand and kissed it. Wait for me. Shisheng returned to the system space and stared at the screen thoughtfully. She looked normal and didn't seem to be out of the ordinary. What is the host up to now? Why is her gaze so terrifyingly calm? But face, let me ask you something. Shisheng sat cross-legged in front of the screen and rested her chin on her hands. Go ahead. I'm so scared that the host will ask me strange questions. No, you're the buttface. I told you not to call me buttface. Then I'm called Deguzi? Goodbye, host. I refuse to answer your questions. The system began to scan the information. Name, Shisheng moral points, 365,000 health points, 55 points, 73,400, 400 points deducted from purchasing items, mission grade, B mission score, 92 hidden mission, completed hidden mission reward, 2,000 points side mission, completed side mission reward, 5,000 points. Shisheng only glanced at it and continued the previous topic. But face, let me ask you, under what circumstances can I choose my own world? I knew the host wouldn't ask a good question. Host, stop dreaming. The world is randomly assigned. Shisheng sneered disdainfully. Do you think I'll believe that? If you don't believe me, then why are you asking me? The system won't serve you anymore. No matter what Shisheng asked, the system didn't say anything. Shisheng studied for a long time. The system just wanted to kick her out. The system finally heard her mention the next world. It began to teleport. Teleportation begins. Asterisk the 33rd world ended. Hashtag today's marigold votes. Hashtag daily monthly votes. Hashtag. Check if you have any monthly votes in your pocket. Hashtag. Chapter 1139. Everyone knew that Qi was the most powerful man in the realm of the gods. Asterisk cold. Shisheng had never felt so cold before. She was surrounded by cold air, and couldn't move at all. Shisheng didn't know how long it took her to open her eyes. She was curled up in a small space. It was so dark that she couldn't see anything. Her skin was in contact with the cold air, which kept seeping into her body. It was very uncomfortable. Where did this stupid system leave I this time? But face, we really need to have a good talk about life. It's so cold. Shisheng sniffed and tried to sense the spiritual qi around her. There was no spiritual qi at all, but there was obviously spiritual qi in her body. What's going on? Shisheng tried to use her spiritual qi, but she felt her body heating up in the next second, as if she was about to be burned. Damn. Hot one moment and cold the next. What's going on? The burning sensation was getting stronger and stronger. She couldn't feel the cold anymore. She could only feel a terrible heat burning her body. Where's Ice Sword? This place was too small. She couldn't pull out her sword at all. Damn, do I have to go offline directly this time? The burning sensation lasted for about half a minute, and then it was cold again. Sometimes it was hot, sometimes it was cold. Shisheng couldn't stand it at all. The two different temperatures were fighting for territory in her body. Half of her skin was burning hot and glowing red, while the other half was frozen into ice. It kept eroding the hot parts. Shisheng was confused. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't dare to move. He had to find a way out first. She was curled up like a baby. This space was so small that it made her hair stand on end. It was crazy. She felt around and filtered the useful information in her mind. It was ice. It was so cold. It had to be at least 10,000 years old. There was spiritual qi in her body. It was either the cultivation realm or the Xuanhuan realm. After figuring out where she was, she felt a little relieved. It didn't matter if it was the cultivation realm or the Xuanhuan realm. It wouldn't be so easy to die. Asterisk flips table asterisk. Which idiot is so wicked as to seal me in ice? When I get out, I'll kill this idiot. Shisheng gritted his teeth and scolded the unknown murderer. Then he took out a night-luminescent pearl from his space, and other things appeared one after another. Her body was sometimes hot, and sometimes cold. Her movements were very slow, but in the end, she used her blood to draw an array in the space she tried her best to squeeze out. I'm depending on you. If I can't go out, I can only die and start over again. I won't die so easily. Shisheng took a deep breath and began to circulate the remaining spiritual energy in his body. Shisheng's spiritual energy seemed to shrink back when it came into contact with the cold and hot energies. He was unable to gather his spiritual energy, even after a long time. F***ck. This time, the heavens really want me dead. No, as a veteran player, I can't allow such a stain to exist. I don't believe it. Shisheng held his breath and gathered the spiritual power in one go. He quickly gathered it into his palm and sent it to the array. The light of the array flickered and was extinguished in the blink of an eye, leaving only the faint light of the luminous pearl. The surroundings were so quiet that only the sound of Shisheng's breathing could be heard. Shisheng. Buttface, how do I die faster? Why do I feel like gloating? No, calm down. I can't let the host find out. But I can't calm down at all. How can I break out into laughter? Serves you right. You acted tough and now you've received your retribution. Ha ha. The system tried hard to maintain its cold image. After a while it said in a stern voice, Host, the fastest way to die is to slit your throat. Friendly reminder. You can't enter this world after death. What? Can't you change your identity? You locked me up in here. I'm not a villain if I don't report it. I must report it. No, I repeat, this is not a game. You can't start over after you die. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is not a game. Important things must be said 3 times. Trash. Shisheng's voice was a little hoarse. It sounded a little strange in this small space. You're not trash. If you're not trash, then get out. The system won't serve you anymore. Bye. The system went silent in an instant. Shisheng. Buttface's temper is getting worse. Damn. The hot and cold feeling came again. Shisheng gritted her teeth and endured. She tried the formation again. This time it was better. The formation lit up for 3 seconds. And then it went out. Shisheng was desperate. As a master at acting tough, how can I be so sullen? I can't. I have to get out. I have to defend my acting tough. Shisheng waited for the hot and cold to simmer down. Then he continued to take things out. He cut his finger again. Wait, this hand. Shisheng raised his hand under the luminous pearl. A pair of white and tender hands with some baby fat. The shape of the hand is quite nice. Flips table. Nice my foot. This is a damn child's hand. It can't be more than 12 years old. She dared to bet with the iron sword. Iron sword. Why am I being attacked again? Shisheng looked at the hand and continued to cut it. What kind of stupid plane is this? Buttface is getting more and more careless. He only knows how to trick I. Shisheng angrily used his blood to add some strange symbols to the array just now. When she injected her spiritual energy again, the first thing that lit up were the symbols. The symbols quickly connected to form an array. And the light suddenly grew brighter. The array that was covered by the symbols also lit up when the light shone. Shisheng curled up his body and tried to stick himself to the ice wall behind him. His body was covered with talismans. This thing was going to explode. There was a 50% chance that she would be killed by the explosion. She would die a horrible death. She would be blown into pieces and disappear in the wind. She would go with the wind. Bah. Now was not the time to be artistic. She had to draw her sword the moment this place exploded. She had less than a second. If she couldn't do it, she would have to go to the next plane. Shisheng stared at the array. The array was getting brighter and brighter. The space she was in was filled with white light. She couldn't see anything. It was so bright that she could barely open her eyes. Suddenly, the light seemed to be sucked away by a black hole. Her surroundings dimmed. Shisheng saw darkness for a moment. The next second, boom. The iron sword appeared in an instant and rushed out of the fire. Shisheng lay on it. The hem of his clothes had been set on fire and was burning rapidly. Shisheng cut off the hem of his clothes. When the second wave of heat came from below, he let the iron sword fly higher. Phew. You scared me to death. I almost died. I'm so beautiful. How could I die so easily? It's not that easy to play I to death. The explosion below lasted for a long time. Shisheng lay on the iron sword to catch her breath. She was very tired. She felt like all the bones in her body had been crushed. She wanted to kill someone to calm down. Chapter 1140. Below them was a circular field where some strange flowers and plants were planted. When the explosion sounded, the flowers and plants emitted a bright light. They were not affected by the explosion, but after the explosion stopped, all the flowers and plants withered and turned into ashes. In the middle of these flowers and plants, there was a huge round ice egg. At this time, one side of the ice egg had been blown open, revealing a narrow space inside. Shisheng leaned on the iron sword and looked at the egg below. Which idiot stuffed I into the egg? And it's so small. This is so King degrading my style. So angry. Shisheng looked around again. This is a bit like a spell formation. No, I have to accept the plot first. The settings of every plane were different. Although they were all built on the same big setting, the same spell formation in every plane could be used differently. She had made such a big noise just now. If this was set up by someone, they would definitely have sensed it. I can't stay here. Shisheng flew in a circle with her sword, but didn't find any exit. There wasn't any spirit energy, but she was very sure that this world definitely had spirit energy. So, this is a King independent space? Then how am I going to get out? I'll die if I do it again, okay? I can't accept dying before I even start. Waiting for the sack for so long. Where the hell am I? Buttface. Won't you come out and help me with the navigation? This service is not provided. The system rejected Shisheng mercilessly. Based on the 2 words butt face, no 3 words, it would not give her any clues. Trash. Calm down, don't argue with the idiot host. It's a system with quality. Host, you're amazing. You can go out yourself. Shisheng. Bullying I for not knowing the situation now. Bullying you because you can't use spiritual chi now. The system added. It wanted to see how the host would get out this time. It was definitely not gloating. It just wanted to see how many trump cards the host had. Yes, that's right. It was an upright system. Shisheng tried. Sure enough, there was no spiritual chi left in her body. Her body's hot and cold situation didn't improve. If this went on, her avatar would die, wouldn't it? It definitely would. But face, I want to buy some props. I'm sorry, host, there are no tools available. Bullshit, give me that 3D spatial gate. Host, you don't have the authority to exchange for this. The system continued to gloat. Shisheng was speechless. He was so angry that he wanted to hit someone. It is better to rely on oneself than on others. I will do it myself. Shisheng took a deep breath, rummaged through the space, and took out a golden funnel-like object. The system subconsciously scanned her, and when it saw the feedback, the system just wanted to slap her to death. Host, this is a divine artifact. Of course. How could it blow up this place if it wasn't a divine weapon? Shisheng rolled his eyes. Where did you come from? She had collected a lot of things from those planes, but many things would disappear in another plane. The things that she could take out were all hers. Previously, it had thought that she would run out of things as she took them out. After all, some things were limited in storage. But now, she had taken out a goddamn artifact. The system was suddenly horrified. How many things were there in its host space? What did she do in the past? Even grave robbers weren't this awesome. And in that era, these things didn't even exist. The scariest thing was that she could use those things without any hindrance in her soul state. Master, are you sure this is really a person? Isn't she some strange creature? Shisheng said concisely. I picked it up. Hee, pick up another one for the system to see. Wait, host, what did you just say? You want to blow up this place? How else am I going to get out? Will it let I out if I shout, open sesame? There was no funny plot like ding password correct. Nothing happened in the space. Host, wait. That's a divine artifact. If you blow up this place, this space will be destroyed. What does that have to do with me? Shisheng rolled his eyes. She couldn't even protect herself. Who would have the mood to care about whether the space collapsed or not? If the system spoiled it, the host would definitely blow up even more. Forget it. The host would definitely blow up in the end anyway. It was better to just go offline and pretend that it didn't see anything. He didn't see anything, nothing. Nothing. Shisheng endured the pain in his body and filled the funnel with energy balls. Then he sealed it with talisman paper. He asked the iron sword to bring him to the highest point. I's unlucky if I die. But how can someone as awesome as me die here? Shisheng muttered. He closed his eyes and threw the thing in his hand down. The divine artifact wrapped in talisman paper fell down. The space seemed to be frozen for a moment. Countless electric currents flowed and created sparks in the air. The sparks formed a line and hit the talisman paper on the ground. The sparks hit the talisman paper. The talisman paper burst into flames with a boom. The flames resonated with the electric currents in the air. The divine artifact smashed onto the ground. The energy ball exploded. Shisheng's ears rumbled. Countless air pressure pressed in from all directions. The electric currents released from the energy ball filled the entire space. Crack, 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 crack. There was the sound of something breaking. Cracks began to appear in the space. Countless dazzling lights poured in from the cracks. At the same time, spiritual energy poured in. Pure and majestic spiritual energy. Shisheng found a weak spot and controlled the iron sword to rush over. The airflow behind him was extremely fast. There seemed to be electric sparks in the air. His body felt very uncomfortable in this situation. It felt like he was being torn apart by 5 horses. Shisheng gritted his teeth and sped up. After a moment of silence, all kinds of noises sounded between heaven and earth. Before Shisheng could see what was going on, he bumped into a cold hard object. A majestic force entered his body. He lost his balance and rolled down the iron sword. The wind blew past his ears. Shisheng recognized the noises from the noises. They were the sounds of fighting Shisheng. What the hell was going on? Had he escaped the tiger's den and entered the wolf's den? Shisheng flipped himself over in the air. He saw clearly that he was pretending to be a human. His body was surrounded by a black aura. He looked like a freaking demon. The iron sword was in his chest. His hand was still in the posture of a palm strike. Needless to say, when she came out, she must have bumped into him. Pfft, where the hell did this baby come from? He sent his head the moment he came out. So angry. Asterisk la la la. I'm a little fairy who writes stories. I'm not afraid of the wind and rain. I don't have weekends. I don't have holidays. Don't you feel bad for me? You're always urging me to update. Little fairy. I refuse to urge you to update. Chapter 1141. When the iron sword realized that its master was falling, it quickly pulled itself out of the man's chest and swooped down to catch Shisheng, who was about to fall to the ground, and brought him back into the air. The clamor from before suddenly quieted down, as if all the sounds between heaven and earth had disappeared at this moment. Shisheng's chest hurt. That man had hit her just now, but she didn't know what he had hit her with. Now she felt that there were three kinds of forces in her body, conflicting with each other, fighting, and invading each other's territory. She was going to die. She was going to die. Shisheng sat up on the iron sword. He couldn't lose his cool. Two people were standing in the air. One was the black figure she had stabbed, and the other was a handsome man in white. He was holding a golden sword in his hand. Shisheng was dumbfounded. Damn, the Xianyuan sword. Oh my god, we're done for. Sword, we've encountered a genuine one. What should we do? Iron sword. How did it know what to do? Its real name was the Xianyuan sword, but it was a fake. It wasn't the genuine Xianyuan sword. It still remembered that when it had this name, its master had been watching a period drama, and the Xianyuan sword happened to be in the drama. So, it had a flashy name, the Xianyuan sword. Although its master had only mentioned its name once in such a long time, it was tired. Sword, will he crack down on piracy? Can you get rid of the Xianyuan sword? Let's get to the top together. Iron sword. Master, you should be thinking about how to escape, not how to get rid of the Xianyuan sword and replace it. It's an authentic divine weapon. Do you think it's a piece of scrap metal that can be broken just by hacking? At least it has the title of a divine weapon. You should at least hack it seriously. Shisheng. I really didn't expect that I had such a boastful sword. Iron sword. I learned it from my master. Shisheng. She was just boasting with real strength, okay? You can't even beat it, and you're already bragging. Aren't you afraid of getting slapped in the face? The iron sword was speechless. I believe master can do it. Shisheng. Even if you worship me so blindly, I can still give it a try. At such a critical moment, you guys can still discuss how to get rid of the other party's divine weapon. This system is also very convinced. Shisheng didn't respond to the system's complaint because she was looking at the Xianyuan sword. The two men also happened to be looking at the Shisheng. The man in white looked a little surprised, as if he couldn't understand what was going on with this little girl, who had suddenly appeared. The smoke around the black-clothed man's body surged very quickly, making it impossible to see the expression on his face. But Shisheng could feel that the gaze he was looking at her with was very unfriendly and cold. Shisheng was shocked. What the hell did he mean by determined to win? Who was this person? I don't know him. How about letting me log off and pick up a plot? Obviously, these two people would not agree. The man in black moved first, quickly rushing toward Shisheng. The man in white followed, trying to stop the man in black. However, the man in black was originally closer than the man in white. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of Shisheng. A strange light beam shot out of his hand and went straight for Shisheng's chest. Yin Mo, the man in white cried out. Shisheng. A love triangle? Did I wear the female lead's avatar this time? My host's brain seems to have been damaged. Why aren't you running? Why are you running? I am not the kind of person who would run away at the last minute. Flip's table, I have to be able to run first. Countless black chains appeared below her, crisscrossing to form a lock array, trapping her inside. When the man in black attacked in front of her, Shisheng rolled off the iron sword to avoid the light beam. The iron sword appeared in her hand in an instant, and she swung it at the lock array below. Crack! The black chains were swung away by the iron sword, and Shisheng fell through the gap in the middle. She raised her head to look at the two people above her. Obviously, both of them were very surprised. The man in black reacted faster and rushed toward her. Shisheng was very uncomfortable now. Not only was her body hot and cold, but she also felt a strange pain spreading from her meridians. Yin Mo, don't you dare! The man in white shouted as the man in black's hand fell. Shisheng was in despair. What kind of evil thing did this body do? So angry, Shisheng sped up her fall, increasing the distance between her and the man in black. She turned the iron sword in her hand. The iron sword cut her finger, and blood flowed out, smearing on the iron sword. Her movements were very fast, and she completed this action in almost a second. The blood sank into the iron sword, and a red light flashed across the iron sword. With the tip of the sword as the center, spiritual energy suddenly rushed in from all directions, forming countless spiritual energy vortexes. Each vortex was the size of a basketball, and wind blades were ejected from the vortexes, flying straight up. The wind blades cut through the air, and a sharp whistling sound resounded throughout the world. No one knew how these vortexes appeared, but people standing in the distance could feel the pressure emitted from the vortexes. The kind of pressure that could destroy heaven and earth made people feel awe and fear. And the two people who were in close contact with those wind blades were even more horrified. The Xianyuan sword in the man in white's hand began to vibrate constantly, making a dull buzzing sound. The man in white had never seen the Xianyuan sword like this. He looked at the figure below in shock. The delicate figure seemed to be blown out of the vortexes, holding up the air. She was wearing a fiery red dress, and there were burn marks on the hem of her dress. The dress was of different lengths, and it was blown by the wind blades, making whistling sounds. She raised her small face, and a strange smile suddenly appeared on her face. Her slightly pale lips opened and closed, and her voice was very low. It was completely inconsistent with her current age, and her tone was strange, as if it came from an ancient chant. The sound of the wind spread the voice in all directions, and it seemed to come from all directions. The voice disappeared, and the petite figure waved the iron sword. The vortexes floating around her suddenly moved into the air, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth was still constantly replenishing the vortexes. The man in black and the man in white rushed in two directions at the same time. These things looked very dangerous at first glance. However, they were one step slower, and the vortexes surrounded them first. At that moment, the whole world was filled with rumbling sounds, and waves of spiritual energy that could be seen with the naked eye began to spread from the place of the explosion, cleansing the surroundings layer by layer. Asterisk, this is a fake group. System. Master, look at the host, she is about to break through the universe. System Master. The universe is not enough for her to play with, calm down. System. You are not the one being enslaved, so of course you would say that. Master, when are you coming back to deal with her? System Master. What did you say? The signal is not good, the word is cracked. What? 3 missing 1? Okay, I will be right there. System. Chapter 1142. This was a Xianxia world. The host was called Qili. She was the only phoenix in this world. Oh no, it was a phoenix egg. The male lead wasn't the white-robed man, but the black-robed man Yin Mo. At first, Qili was in Yin Mo's hands. Yin Mo wanted to forcibly remove her soul, and place the female lead's soul inside to be reborn as a phoenix. That's right, she came here very early. So early that the female lead hadn't even appeared. The entire God realm knew that she had a phoenix egg, but it hadn't hatched for 10,000 years. No one could feel any aura from it. All the deities thought that the last phoenix egg in this world would never hatch, and that the phoenix race would go extinct. In order to commemorate the phoenix race, this egg was enshrined as a mascot. In the plot, Chi Li's soul was removed and she was tortured to death. She didn't even get to see this world. The female lead was reborn as a phoenix. After slaying demons and devils, she returned to her position as a god. The space she came out of was an array set up by the male lead. In the plot, the male lead successfully sent the female lead into the phoenix egg during this battle. The female lead hatched as a phoenix and officially opened the curtains of the plot. Scared me to death. If I came out a little later, I would have really died. The original owner hated the person who robbed her of her soul, that is, the male lead. She hated the person who took over her body, that is, the female lead. So the host's last wish was to kill these two shameless bitches. Very good. This is very encouraging. Leave it to me to break up the ship. Wait a minute. Why was she receiving the plot? Wasn't she fighting just now? Shisheng wanted to open her eyes, but after trying for a long time, all she could see was darkness. She was conscious, but she couldn't open her eyes. What's going on? What's wrong with Ai's body? Shisheng tried hard to recall the scene from before. She seemed to have been sent flying by the shockwave, and then, there was no then. Fuck. She couldn't have died, right? She couldn't move at all and couldn't open her eyes. Shisheng struggled for a long time, but she still couldn't open her eyes. After a long time, Shisheng heard a voice. It was a girl's voice. It was very pleasant to hear, and she didn't sound very old. Hey, be careful. The immortal monarch treasures this egg. You'll be in trouble if you break it. Where did immortal monarch pick it up? What kind of egg is this? It looks strange. Why is it glowing? What do you mean by picked it up? The last time the immortal monarch came back, it fell from the sky and struck him. I wonder who was the one who threw it. Isn't there a barrier in our palace? How did this egg fall in here? Don't you know that the incident last time was so serious? The entire desolate sea was destroyed. Our palace's barrier was also affected. Many things fell in. This egg fell in at that time. The immortal master has been throwing tantrums for a few days now. Don't touch him. Just a touch. No. Egg. F***ck. I won't become an egg again, will I? Could the hatchlings really be stuffed back in? This world was a little unscientific. Why am I an egg? Although the last phoenix in this world looked pretty awesome, it was still a king beast. Buttface must have done it on purpose. Shisheng couldn't speak. He could only listen to the conversation between the two voices. They would come every once in a while. From their conversation, Shisheng knew that the little girl who liked to ask questions was called Siju, and the little girl who often answered questions was called Niandong. They were the immortals of this palace. Shisheng still didn't know what this palace was called. Every time they talked, they used the word palace instead. They talked about all kinds of things, such as which immortal monarch was fighting, which immortal monarch was interested in, and so on. Even immortals were gossipy. Shisheng couldn't get out. She had tried many ways, but all proved that her body was in a deep sleep and couldn't be awakened. She was bored and could only absorb spiritual chi. Since she couldn't get out, she would cultivate hard and then go out to act tough and break up the couple. She wondered how the female lead would be reborn without her, the spare tire. She was looking forward to it. The time spent cultivating was like flowing water. One day, when Shisheng finished cultivating, he suddenly heard Siju shouting, Niandong, Niandong, the enchantment on this girl has disappeared. There were no footsteps, but Niandong's voice soon sounded in his ears. The immortal monarch said that when the enchantment on her body disappears, we should take her to the immortal lotus pool. Go and tell the immortal monarch. I'll take her there first. Okay. Siju responded. She must have run there, because the sound of footsteps gradually disappeared. Shisheng found it strange that there was a girl next to her. In the blink of an eye, she felt as if she was floating. Shisheng. Wait a minute. Am I not an egg? Buttface, I need to talk to you about life. If you want to act tough, you must first sharpen your weapon. The system said in a profound manner. Shisheng. What's wrong with this body? She heard the sound of the wind, and spiritual chi kept rushing into her body. After a while, the sound of the wind died down. She felt as if she was put on ice. Niandong floated out and came back in after a while. At the same time, Siju came in. Did the immortal monarch really say that? Yes, that's what the immortal monarch said. Siju nodded. Then she asked Niandong worriedly, will she die if we just throw her down like this? If the immortal monarch said so, it should be fine. Niandong obviously worshipped the immortal monarch blindly. Shisheng, what do you want to do to I? Where's I's sword? Before Shisheng could summon her sword, she was thrown down. The viscous liquid immediately wrapped around her. She kept sinking, and the majestic spiritual qi kept seeping into her body. There was too much of it, and she felt a little uncomfortable. The combination of ice and fire that she felt when she first came over came again. Shisheng opened her eyes abruptly. She was now in a milky white liquid. The liquid wrapped around her body, and spiritual qi kept going in and out of her body. This felt a little like washing. The liquid was filtering the impurities in her body. She could feel the power in her body getting purer and stronger. But at the same time, the combination of ice and fire was getting more and more intense. Whoosh! Flames suddenly shot out from her arms. The next second, her whole body was engulfed in flames. Heavens, why is there fire? Niandong's voice was a little hazy. She said in a low muffled voice, go and call the immortal monarch. Siju stumbled out and ran back quickly. The immortal monarch is not in the room. Niandong was shocked. What? Wasn't he here just now? Siju stammered. No, the immortal monarch used voice transmission just now. Niandong. Chapter 1143. The entire immortal death pool was filled with flames. The temperature was frighteningly high. They were already immortals, but they could still feel the scorching heat. It was obvious how high the temperature was. It's over. Niandong, the immortal monarch's immortal lotus pond will be ruined. The immortal monarch will scold us to death. Siju grabbed Niandong's clothes and looked at the burning immortal lotus pond, wanting to cry but having no tears. Niandong kept trying to contact her immortal monarch, but she couldn't reach him. The immortal death pool burned for 3 days and 3 nights. Niandong and Siju waited outside for 3 days and 3 nights. Niandong, look. Siju suddenly nudged Niandong, pointing in the direction of the flames. The flames were still burning fiercely. In the depths of the flames, a phoenix could be vaguely seen flying. Its cries pierced through the flames, piercing the clouds. Siju was completely stunned. After a while she stammered, Phoenix. Niandong, it's a phoenix. She's the phoenix that disappeared over the desolate sea. Niandong's mouth twitched. Immortal monarch wants us to throw a phoenix into the immortal death pool? Is he crazy? Also, where did the immortal monarch pick up this phoenix? The cries continued, growing louder and louder. Niandong raised her head to look at the sky. Following the phoenix's cry, the barrier above them began to crack. Immortal monarch seemed to have found something incredible this time. Niandong took a deep breath and slapped Siju. Stop spacing out. Hold the barrier. Oh. Siju nodded. She and Niandong flew in different directions. The cracks in the barrier were mended when the two of them channeled their spiritual energy into it. When Lu Yin returned to his palace, he felt that something was wrong. He stood outside his own palace and looked up for a long time. It took him a while to react. Why was his palace name missing? Why was there a crack on the pillar? Had an enemy come to find him? Niandong, Siju. Lu Yin called out as he walked to the door. Siju ran out, her face covered in dirt. She cried before she could speak. Immortal monarch, you're finally back. Sob. If you hadn't come back, this place would have changed owners. Lu Yin carried Siju inside like a chick. What are you talking about? Is your brain damaged again? Let Niandong take a look at you. You're already quite silly. What's going to happen if you continue to be silly? Siju choked with sobs. Immortal monarch, that the phoenix you picked up has taken over our palace. Oh. Lu Yin responded. After taking 3 steps, he suddenly stopped. A strange look of confusion appeared on his handsome face. What phoenix? When did I pick up a phoenix? Isn't that thing extinct? Immortal. Immortal monarch, don't scare me. Even if the little girl in red you brought back is the phoenix in the desolate sea. If you didn't pick it up, then where did it come from? Oh, her. Lu Yun came to a realization. I actually picked up a phoenix. TSK. Siju was speechless. Being an immortal was nothing to be proud of, alright? Now the entire deity world was looking for the phoenix that destroyed the desolate sea. Most importantly, this phoenix has taken over your palace. When Lu Yun first saw Shisheng, it was in his main hall. The little girl was wearing a long black dress. The dress was embroidered with a flame-like phoenix spreading its wings. It looked very lifelike. She was clearly still a child, but the dress made her look like a sovereign descending to the world. The little girl propped her chin up and looked at the smoke outside. Her gaze was a little empty. She wasn't looking at anything. You look better in red. Flowing Cloud entered the hall and took the initiative to gain the upper hand. The little girl slowly turned her head. When their eyes met, Lu Yun suddenly gasped. There was actually a red halo in her pupils. Shisheng put down his hand and took the iron sword from the table. He knocked on the table hard and asked like a bandit, "Who are you?" Lu Yun was speechless. "This is my palace. Who do you think I am?" "Yours." Shisheng narrowed his eyes and suddenly stood up. He smiled eerily. "I've been waiting for you." "Waiting for me? Why does this little girl look so eerie?" Shisheng walked towards Lu Yun with the iron sword. "Did you ask someone to throw me into that weird pool?" "Yes. I think so." Lu Yun's answer was very uncertain. He scratched his head and looked confused. "I'm very busy. I don't really remember." Shisheng. "I was tortured half to death, and you actually said you don't remember? Not bad. You're very strong. I'll beat you to death. Side mission: be perfect. Quest objective: help Lu Yun find his lost soul and spirit. The system's announcement didn't stop Shisheng from beating Lu Yun. Probably because the side quest mode had been activated, the possibility of Shisheng killing Lu Yun was reduced to 0 with the help of the system. "Buttface, I've never seen you so protective of me. What kind of system did she meet?" "Hee, the system has never seen a host as evil as you." "What kind of host did it meet?" After complaining, the system still had to explain. When the side quest is activated, when the quest target is a human, the quest target will be automatically bound to the quest target. The system changed to an easy-to-understand analogy. "It's like he's your teammate now. I don't want such a stupid teammate." "Little Phoenix, have you hit me enough?" Lu Yun lay on the ground, not caring about the iron sword at all. Instead, he looked at her with interest. "You're indeed from the Phoenix clan. You're so powerful even though you're just born." Shisheng tried to stab the iron sword into Lu Yun's chest again. It couldn't be called an assistant anymore. He couldn't move it at all. Teammate mode is so annoying. Shisheng put away the sword. "If I can't kill him, can't I beat him up?" Lu Yun was beaten up quite a bit. The little girl had just reached his chest, but she was ruthless and picked the most painful part. "Little Phoenix, how can you be so ungrateful? Have you forgotten who picked you up? If it weren't for me." "Little Phoenix, don't be so ruthless. It hurts. If it weren't for me, you would have been tied up on the immortal punishment platform by now. Do you really think I can't beat you if I don't fight back? I'm just afraid that I'll kill the only phoenix in the world." Lu Yun shouted fiercely, but he didn't fight back in the end. Shisheng vented his anger from being thrown into that lousy pool and let Lu Yun go. Shisheng looked at Lu Yun condescendingly. "What do you mean by you picked me up? Don't think I don't know that I fell in by myself." Lu Yun sat up with his hands on his waist and retorted. "Yes, you fell in by yourself, but if it weren't for me, you would still be hanging on that meridian tree outside. Little Phoenix, as a beast, you can't be ungrateful, understand? You're still young, so I'll forgive you this time." Shisheng. "What should I do if I want to beat him up again? #hashtag today, I'm begging for Phoenix Flower votes. #don't ask me what Phoenix Flower is. I don't know either. Hashtag begging for votes lalalala hashtag. Chapter 1144. Lu Yin was a weirdo in the immortal realm. He had a bad reputation in the immortal realm. His title was not high, but his status was high. His strength was unknown. Also, he was the only immortal who lived in the Desolate Sea. The Desolate Sea was the place where Shisheng came from. It was not a sea, but a barren land. There was nothing in the Desolate Sea. There were no demons, no plants, no life. This place had always been a good place for a fight. But now, the Desolate Sea was destroyed. More than half of the Desolate Sea had disappeared. The place where it disappeared became a void. No one knew where this void connected to. The culprit, Shisheng, expressed, her ultimate move was not powerful enough. How could it be worthy of her? Why are those idiots in the immortal realm looking for me? Lu Yin was still sitting on the ground, looking at his wounds. Little Phoenix, you have to be polite when you ask questions, okay? Shisheng waved his iron sword. Lu Yin choked. You are the last phoenix in the world. Of course, they want to raise you as a mascot. I destroyed the Desolate Sea. Won't they find trouble with me? A mascot? They are crazy. There is nothing in the Desolate Sea. Why would they find trouble with you? Then what did you say about the immortal execution platform? Lu Yin. He coughed awkwardly and stood up. I was just teasing you. Ha! Teasing my ass. Lu Yin moved closer to Shisheng and asked curiously. Little Phoenix, have you gone through Nirvana? What Nirvana? Shisheng glared at him. Stand away. I am afraid of killing you. Lu Yin was unmoved. Little Phoenix, don't be so fierce. You are a female. You have to be gentle, okay? Otherwise, no beast will want to mate with you in the future. Female, mate. Shisheng was shocked by these words. He could not accept the fact that he had become a beast. You were just born. It is normal that you don't know. Phoenixes go through Nirvana and are reborn from fire. Different phoenixes go through Nirvana at different times. Your race. I heard that it's the Golden Phoenix clan with the purest bloodline. The purer the bloodline, the longer the interval between Nirvana. You should go through Nirvana once every 1,000 years. You went through Nirvana as soon as you were born. Little Phoenix, something is wrong with you. Shisheng recalled what he had experienced in the pool. Was that the Nirvana of the Phoenix? How do you know that I have achieved Nirvana? Lu Yin immediately smiled proudly. I once saw a phoenix that had just undergone Nirvana. Its pupils were exactly the same as yours. Shisheng touched his eyes and used the iron sword as a mirror. There was a circle of red light around his pupils, which looked very strange. It was reasonable to say that a newborn phoenix would not have such a situation at all. Even if a phoenix died when it was born, it would need to wait until a specific time of Nirvana before it could be reborn. Lu Yin seemed to like her very much. He told Shisheng all kinds of stories about the heavenly realm. The general outline was similar to what she knew. The only difference was some details. Shisheng knew that the man on the Desolate Sea was called Jiangling. He was the god of war in the heavenly realm, and had the divine weapon Xianyuan sword. The male lead, Yin Mo, was the only exalted god in the heavenly realm. However, he fell into depravity and became a demon because of the female lead. The female lead's background was a little big. She was a green lotus that was born at the beginning of the world. When she met the male lead, it was a demon who wanted to borrow the female lead's power to destroy her body. At that time, the female lead had not yet transformed. She was a green lotus. After she was rescued by the male lead, he raised her until the female lead transformed. The female lead fell in love with the male lead, but only then did the female lead realize that the male lead treated her like that because he wanted her to use the most primitive power of heaven and earth to save another woman. Shisheng could only use one word to describe this setting. King retard. He used the female lead to save someone else, and then used someone else to save the female lead. Who was the unlucky one? It was the last cannon fodder. Lu Yin was still snorting. What exalted god? The brains of those deities were eaten by Little White. Shisheng interrupted. There are still exalted gods in this world. What the hell was Little White? Of course. Lu Yin suddenly paused. Little Phoenix, there's something wrong with your body. I have to take you to see someone. You're the mascot of the heavenly realm. Nothing can happen to you. Mascot Sheng. Sheng couldn't be bothered with Lu Yin. He got up and walked out. Lu Yin hurried to catch up. Little Phoenix, did you hear me? No. Who knows if you're going to send me to be experimented on? I'm scared. Lu Yin was a little angry. Little Phoenix, I'm doing this for your own good. Don't be ungrateful. Sheng took a few steps out of the door. Niandong and Siju stood at the side, trembling. These two girls must have been scared out of their wits these past few days. It was their fault for throwing him into that stupid pool. Sheng glanced at them. Then he got rid of Lu Yun and transformed into a golden phoenix. He flew into the sky. Sheng. She didn't want to transform. But as soon as she flew, she became like this. She really wanted to kill someone. Sheng shook his wings uncomfortably. He almost fell from the sky. There were people watching. It would be so embarrassing if he fell. So to show off, Sheng could only flap his wings. Lu Yin looked up at the phoenix in the sky and suddenly turned his head. Niandong, Siju, did you see her tail feathers? I saw them. Siju nodded weakly. Immortal Master, the tail feathers of golden phoenixes should be golden. Why is she like this? Niandong was calmer. Lu Yin rubbed his chin. I'm curious too. Niandong. Since you don't know, why are you acting like you've already seen through the secrets of heaven, Immortal Master? As soon as he left the barrier, Sheng saw a void. It looked like a black hole. She flew through the black hole and landed on the edge of the crack. As soon as she landed, she transformed into her human form. She still looked like a child. Sheng looked down at her little paws with melancholy. How was she going to live in the future? Just as she was looking at her paws, a light flashed in front of her. A figure landed in front of her. Sheng looked up. It was the man in white she saw the other day. God of War Jiangling. The look in his eyes was a little incredulous, but also a little complicated after the joy. Jiangling reached out his hand to Sheng. Little guy, I'm here to take you home. Sheng. What home? Wasn't she the last phoenix? Where did her home come from? Sheng was about to go to the realm of the gods to show off and wait for the female lead to come online. So, after thinking for a while, she nodded her noble head. Jiangling's hand stopped awkwardly in midair. After Sheng nodded, he retracted his hand unnaturally. He waved his hand and a cloud suddenly appeared in front of them. The cloud was very big. Sheng sat in the corner and warned Jiangling not to come near her with her eyes. Jiangling stood on the other side, but he kept looking at Sheng. Sheng was calm and collected. She didn't feel curious or nervous at all. She just calmly looked at the clouds passing by. She could feel that the further she went, the more spiritual energy there was. He recited Ling Jiang. She was begging for votes every day. Chapter 1145. Ling brought Sheng to the 33rd heaven, where the immortal emperor lived. The immortal emperor looked at Sheng with a complicated expression. After a long silence he asked, Little one, do you have a name? Qili. The little girl was dressed in a black dress. A girl shouldn't look good in such a color, but she looked very good in it. It made her skin look as white as jade. She didn't seem small in the grand hall at all. Instead, she attracted everyone's attention. Her reaction was calm and indifferent, as if she didn't care about this at all. To the immortal emperor, this was just a newborn baby. If she had this kind of aura, she would grow up to be a big deal. Qili. The immortal emperor gathered his thoughts and nodded. That's a good name. You'll be called Qili from now on. Southwu Mountain should have a master now. Southwu Mountain was once the residence of the Phoenix clan. Although it was just a mountain, it was actually very big. It was so big that one couldn't imagine it. Immortal Emperor, Southwu Mountain. Jiangling, I'll leave this matter to you. The immortal emperor interrupted Jiangling and gave him the task. Jiangling frowned but didn't refuse. The immortal emperor didn't make things difficult for Sheng. Sheng silently followed Jiangling and left. After leaving the grand hall, Jiang Ling asked Shisheng gently. Little Li, can I call you that? Up to you. Little Li, South Wu Mountain hasn't been inhabited for many years. I need to send someone in to take a look. It'll take some time. Why don't you stay in my palace for the time being? Shisheng glanced at Jiang Ling, as if he could see through his thoughts. Jiang Ling suddenly became nervous. Little Li. Shisheng retracted his gaze and said indifferently, no need. I'll go by myself. Where's South Wu Mountain? Jiang Ling didn't dare to speak, probably because of the look in Shisheng's eyes. He was a man of his word in the god realm, but now he was at a loss in front of a child. If word got out, wouldn't he be laughed at? But when he saw Shisheng's face, Jiang Ling couldn't say anything. He sighed, summoned another auspicious cloud, and brought Shisheng to South Wu Mountain. The first impression that South Wu Mountain gave off was that it was lifeless. South Parasol Mountain was filled with parasol trees, but these parasol trees were all dead. They had no leaves and no signs of life. In the middle, there was an especially large parasol tree. It could be said that it reached straight into the clouds, and the top could not be seen at all. Its branches were thick and solid, and it could be seen that when it was alive, it covered the sky and covered the sun. The branches of this parasol tree were dotted with palaces. From afar, they looked like giant fruits hanging from the branches. Jiang Ling happened to land below the parasol tree. Just as he left, the wutong tree above suddenly lowered a branch and gently wrapped around Shisheng's waist, pulling her up the wutong tree. The branch made her feel very comfortable. It had no attack power, so Shisheng allowed it to pull her up. The branch sent Shisheng into a palace covered by leaves. Standing at the entrance of the palace, she could see the wutong forest in the distance. It was lush and verdant, forming a sea of green. It was completely different from the withered forest from before. Shisheng looked around the palace. There was nothing special about it. The branch was still by her side. The two leaves opened up and gently pushed her forward, as if to let her walk forward. Shisheng was pushed forward. She went around a screen made of an unknown material and saw the throne inside. It was made of polished jade. The armrests were the wings of a phoenix. The phoenix's head was in the middle of the throne. The posture protected the person sitting on the throne. The branch pushed her onto the throne. The two leaves tilted honestly, as if it was very satisfied. It retreated to a lower position, rolled up one of the leaves, and covered it with the other. The branch below was bent, and it was in a kneeling position. Shisheng. It was a sweet experience of being worshipped by a branch. Shisheng got up and reached out to touch the branch. The branch immediately rubbed against her hand excitedly, like a cat that had its chin scratched. Can you speak? Shisheng squatted down and looked at the branch at the same level. The branch opened up its two leaves and spread out its hands helplessly. It also seemed to be confused, not knowing what she was talking about. Shisheng touched it again and asked the branch, "Is this where the Phoenix King used to live?" The branch probably understood this sentence. It straightened its leaves, bent its front, and nodded. Chapter 1146. Shisheng stayed in the palace for a while. She didn't see anything strange, so she asked the branches to let her down. Below, Jiang Ling had already returned, and was looking around anxiously when Shisheng suddenly fell from above. Jiang Ling was startled. "Little Li, why are you up there?" He thought something had happened to her in such a short time. Shisheng pushed away the branches that refused to let her go and looked at Jiang Ling. "You can go back now." "Little Li, Shisheng's gaze was too cold, causing Ling to swallow the words he wanted to say. "Then be careful." Jiang Ling left, looking back every few steps. Shisheng decided to walk around South Wu Mountain first. After all, this place was going to be her nest in the future. She had to deal with the security issues first. If she wanted to cause trouble, she had to deal with her own safety first. Every time Shisheng wanted to fly, she would transform into her original form. After several tries, she finally figured out why she couldn't transform back into her original form. South Wu Mountain was ridiculously huge. Shisheng started walking around the edges. The sycamore trees would rustle when she walked past them. Shisheng would shake even harder when she touched them. like a child who had been rewarded. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Shisheng's hands paused in the middle of fiddling with the plants. She turned her head to look behind her. There were a few sycamore trees behind her. When she looked over, the branches and leaves rustled. Don't move, Shisheng scolded. The sycamore trees immediately stopped shaking. Shisheng walked around them, pushed aside the shrubs that were taller than her, and looked in the opposite direction. There was a strange animal there. It was completely black and round. It was half the height of a person and was very big. It was eating something and making strange chewing sounds. It was blocking the other side, so Shisheng couldn't see what it was eating. It's here. Found it. Don't let it run away. 3 youths in uniforms appeared in front of the black ball. The sound of the ball chewing became louder. One of the youths exclaimed, it ate the immortal master's mount. What's that? I've never seen it before. I've never seen it before either. Since it dares to eat the mount of the immortal monarch, it must be a demonic beast. Let's capture it first and hand it over to the immortal monarch. The other 2 youths felt that what he said made sense, and the 3 of them immediately began to act. However, Big Meatball was round and rolled around on the ground. The 3 youths' attacks couldn't hurt it at all. In the end, they were sent flying by Big Meatball. One of the teenagers happened to fall into the bushes in front of the Shisheng. He was lying on his front and could see the Shisheng. The young man scrambled out of the bush. Who are you? Why are you sneaking around? Come out. As soon as the young man's voice fell, Big Meatball rolled over from the side and swallowed the young man in one gulp. Shisheng could clearly see that the Big Meatball had a huge mouth, and it was pitch black inside. What was that? Shisheng said he had never seen him before. However, a word suddenly popped up in her mind. Taotai. Ancient ferocious beast. Shisheng. Which family's Taotai looked like this? This setting was toxic. No. What kind of luck did this baby have to meet a ferocious beast so casually? Big Meatball ate one of the youths. The other 2 youths were so scared that their faces turned pale. Run. 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 They were not as fast as Big Meatball. Big Meatball ate them one by one and soon swallowed the other 2 youths. Big Meatball rolled back from a distance and stopped in front of Shisheng. Its body was covered with a layer of black fur. Its eyes and mouth couldn't be seen. It was just a round meatball. However, Shisheng knew that it was looking at him, and was about to. Big Meatball suddenly opened its mouth. Shisheng quickly jumped back, and jumped onto the parasol tree next to him. Big Meatball didn't bite him. It ran over the vegetation, and hit the roots of the parasol tree. It purred as it circled around the sycamore tree. Shisheng looked down at Big Meatball below him. Could this thing be killed? Shisheng stepped on the branches, and jumped onto a parasol tree next to him. Big Meatball immediately rolled under another tree and hit the trunk with its body. Shisheng quickly jumped a few trees and then jumped down. He instantly drew his iron sword and slashed at Big Meatball. Little White. Clang. The iron sword hit the ground, and the sword energy swept a gully in the ground. Big Meatball, who was in front of her just now, was gone. Lu Yun's voice sounded from the side. Little Phoenix, you are all the same. Why are you so anxious to kill each other? Shisheng. Who the hell is the same as a beast? Well, her body was now. Shisheng looked at Lu Yun. He was holding a furry ball in his arms. The size was completely different from what Shisheng saw just now. Little Phoenix, look, you scared Little White. Lu Yun touched the thing in his hand. Little White? Yixem. This was the Little White he was talking about? It was so black. How was it white? It's too exaggerated and unrealistic. Shisheng used his sword to support himself on the ground. You actually raised a beast. She had watched it eat a human. No, it ate an immortal. But this thing was actually raised at home. How scary. Lu Yun raised his index finger and put it to his lips. Sure. Little Phoenix, don't tell anyone. Okay, give it to me. I will kill it. Shisheng agreed readily. Then no one will know. Lu Yun stuffed Little White into his sleeve. Little Phoenix, it is not good to fight. Little White is just a little greedy. You have already punished it. How about you spare its life? I didn't even kill it. What punishment was there to punish? What if I don't? Then I will expose you for raising a beast. Lu Yun's face turned serious. Shisheng. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. She deserved to be banished to that godforsaken place in the desolate sea. Shisheng weighed the pros and cons. She couldn't kill Lu Yun. The beast was hidden by Lu Yun. Plus, the beast was strong. It would be difficult for her to kill it. Then she would find a chance. Get out of my Southwu Mountain. Southwu Mountain? Why is this? Southwu Mountain? The last few words were blocked by the surrounding parasol trees. In the entire heavenly realm, only Southwu Mountain had parasol trees. When he came here, he had followed Little White's aura. He didn't look around. Southwu Mountain used to be withered, but now it was full of vitality. He didn't even think about Southwu Mountain. Why did this place become like this? Shisheng sneered. Southwu Mountain has always been like this. But that was a long time ago, Lu Yun muttered. Then his eyes widened. I know. It is because of you. Get out. Lu Yun didn't bother with Southwu Mountain, and ignored Shisheng's eviction order. Lil Phoenix, come with me to meet someone. I'm not going. If he went, he would definitely cause trouble. It would involve 1,000 years of grudges and 10,000 years of love. I just want to quietly act cool, and wait for the female lead to come online. I don't want to do any side missions. Little Phoenix, I am doing this for your own good. Hey Little Phoenix, why are you attacking me? Lu Yun was sent flying by the Iron Sword aura. Lu Yun stood in midair and stared at the iron sword in Shisheng's hand. Little Phoenix, where did you get this sword from? Xianyuan sword. I've never heard of it. Shisheng rolled his eyes and swung at him again. Chapter 1147. Lu Yun returned to his palace in a sorry state. Siju came out to greet him. Immortal Master, did you go out to fight again? Lu Yun glared at Siju. Is your Immortal Master that kind of person? Siju. That's right. Lu Yun took Little White out and handed it to Siju. Keep an eye on Little White. Don't let it run out again. Siju hugged Little White and trembled a little. She was very afraid of this vicious beast. If not for the immortal monarch's aura on her body, it would have already eaten her. Little White flipped over in Siju's hand, seemingly scornful. Immortal Lord, if it wants to go out, we can't stop it. This thing would eat anything. Barriers were completely useless against it. Feed it on time every day. Don't starve it, and it won't run away. Didn't I tell you before that your brain shouldn't be filled with gossip? Put more useful things in it. Siju wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Sir Immortal, it already ate everything you left behind. Lu Yun scratched his head. Is that so? Why is your appetite getting bigger again? So, Immortal Monarch, do you want to bring back some food reserves? However, Lu Yun did not mention this. Immortal Lord, an immortal child just sent an invitation. Siju hurriedly said when she saw that Lu Yun was about to leave again. Lu Yun turned around. Who wants to do something? These immortals of the god realm have nothing better to do. Immortal monarch Dianmu has become an immortal venerable. Who? Siju retreated, her voice even softer. Immortal Lord Dianmu. His immortal lord and Dianmu immortal lord had a feud. He wondered what the immortal lord was going to do this time. Lu Yun waved his hand. Prepare a generous gift. Siju looked at Lu Yun in confusion. Why was it so calm? There weren't many celestial venerables in the divine realm. One could count them with 10 fingers. Now that Dianmu had suddenly become an immortal venerable, even the immortal emperor had sent his most trusted aide. Naturally, Shisheng, the mascot, was also invited. Shisheng really didn't want to come. But when she thought about this kind of situation, she knew that something was bound to happen. There would be a good show to watch, so she still came slowly. Exalted Immortal Qi Li has arrived. This plane was divided into Earth Immortal, True Immortal, Heaven Immortal, High Immortal, Immortal Monarch, Immortal Supremacy, and Immortal Emperor. Earth Immortals were those who had just ascended from the mortal realm, and needed to slowly climb up. Celestial Immortals were born in the God realm. Logically speaking, Shisheng should be a Celestial Immortal. But her bloodline was nobler than that of ordinary phoenixes, so she was directly conferred the title of Exalted Immortal. The disciple of Senior Immortal Dianmu was standing at the door to welcome them. When he heard the announcement, he immediately sent someone to invite Senior Immortal Dianmu inside. This was the main character that had recently caused a great deal of commotion in the god realm. Eldest senior brother, the celestial venerable, said that he can't leave at the moment, and asked you to welcome him on his behalf. A disciple quickly came out and conveyed Dianmu's words. The expression of the man who was addressed as eldest senior brother changed slightly. The immortal venerable meant that he no longer valued this person. The Phoenix clan used to be powerful, but now, she was the only one left. It was understandable that the venerable immortal didn't pay attention to her. While eldest senior brother's mind was racing, a figure had already appeared on the other side. It was a very petite girl, or rather a child. She wore a black dress, and the phoenix embroidered on the hem of her dress swayed as she walked, like a burning flame. She didn't walk very fast, and the childish expression on her face was indifferent. No one could tell what she was feeling, and it was indescribably strange. Welcome, exalted immortal Qi. Eldest senior brother could only brace himself and go forward. Shisheng didn't see senior immortal Dianmu's figure. Dianmu was now a senior immortal, and his status was higher than hers. It wasn't wrong for him to not come out. Before Shisheng could speak, another announcement came from behind. Exalted immortal Su has arrived. As soon as the announcement was made, a figure came out from inside. She passed by Shisheng and went to welcome the beautiful figure behind him. Su congratulates senior immortal Dianmu. The woman's voice was clear and melodious, and it was very pleasant to the ears. There's no need for formalities. I'm already very happy that you can come. The voice was full of energy. It wasn't difficult to hear the man's admiration for the woman in his tone. Shisheng's mouth twitched. He passed the item in his hand to eldest senior brother, who had an unpleasant expression, and walked slowly inside. Eldest senior brother was a little surprised. She didn't show any signs of anger at all. Her temper was really good. Speaking of which, Southwu Mountain's vitality was restored overnight. This matter is indeed related to the Phoenix clan. Have you seen that person? No, we've only seen Senior Immortal Ling and the Immortal Emperor. I heard from the people who came back from the Desolate Sea that it's a little girl. She wore a fiery red dress. It shouldn't be difficult to recognize her when she comes later. The battle at the Desolate Sea, but don't talk about this. The Immortal Emperor ordered that we're not allowed to talk about it. Right. I almost forgot about it. Yin Mo was an exalted immortal. Falling into depravity and becoming a demon was a very embarrassing matter. It was normal for the Immortal Emperor to forbid people from talking about it. Shisheng walked past these immortals. They heard that Yin Mo had turned into ashes. However, this was only the version that was told to the public. As the male lead, he definitely wouldn't die so easily. Ever since Shisheng came in, he heard rumors about her the most. Those who participated in the battle at the Desolate Sea were far away and didn't see her clearly. They only knew that she was a little girl in a red dress. In the immortal realm, the color of one's clothes was a symbol. Normal people wouldn't change their clothes easily. So when Shisheng swaggered past them, no one noticed her. These people were in groups of 2 or 3. Very few of them stood alone. Shisheng's gaze casually swept across them. When he saw a corner, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He jumped down from the corridor and ran over there. Little White, who was squatting among a bunch of flowers, sensed danger and immediately ran to a secluded corner. Shisheng chased Little White to the backyard and blocked it. Shisheng smiled sinisterly like a hooligan. Run! Why aren't you running? Little White circled around the wall. Suddenly, it opened its mouth and gnawed on the wall. A hole was bitten into the wall. However, before it could run out, all of its fur stood on end. The enlarged iron sword blocked the hole. Little White bumped into the iron sword. It was dizzy and saw stars. So dizzy. Why are there 2 women in front of me? Smells so good. Food. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Little White opened its mouth dizzily. It wanted to swallow the food in front of it. However, it couldn't bite anything. In the next second, it was picked up by someone. Little White immediately woke up. It shrunk its body and jumped out of Shishang's hands. When it landed on the ground, it enlarged again and bumped into Shishang. Shishang didn't avoid it. Instead, he held the iron sword. Little White probably didn't expect Shishang to react this way. It suddenly turned its head and crashed into the wall with a hole. It rolled over to the other side of the wall. That was where Shishang and the other immortals were chatting. As soon as it went over, there was a loud shout next door. "Ah, it's Taodai. Why is it here? We can't let it run away. Catch it. It went that way. Stop it, stop it." Asterisk Little White OS. What did I do? I was just hungry and wanted to eat. Is it my fault that I'm hungry? Boo-hoo, I feel wrong too. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.